following video may contain content parents may find unsuitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, it's Hunger again, and welcome to another Brawlhalla stream. Alright, without further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into chat here. Let's see, we've got... There we go.
Come in, you royal boob!
There we go. Okay, so we're in content chat now. It's like there's a different thing going on elsewhere.
Move here. I mean, heyo.
Hey, how's it going? Alright, let's go ahead and get into a room. We're literally getting a room.
Custom!
Right.
Be gentle. It's my first time.
Oh no. Alright. We both know that's a lie.
At least my first time. My first time this week.
Yeah, right. Alright. Here we go. Alright, so the room code is 742915, apparently. Oh, Dark Zoroark is here. Hello, hello. Sorry,
Actually, I've done a bit of practicing
okay.
past couple days.
Alright, cool.
Sharpening my claws with a Shuri.
Alright. Sorry, I'm starting off a little late. I've been busying myself doing things around the house today. It's so funny because I know I've been really productive around the house, but because I wasn't doing stuff on YouTube, I feel like I've had a really unproductive day. like I edited a video that I had lying around from a few days ago, and that was it. Like that's all I did on YouTube besides this. So, but I did like laundry and dishes, stuff, and but yeah.
Well, sounds like you had a much better day than I did.
Yeah. It was, like I said, I think it was productive. It's just, wasn't YouTube productive.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. Today was one of those one step forward, get knocked a block back kind of days.
But yeah, I think it's good that I feel like what I'm doing on YouTube is productive. I also did something YouTube related. I got on Brave and finished their freaking super scrutinizy verification policy so that I could start getting money from Brave. So
The heck is Brave?
Brave is an internet browser, and what it does is when you watch things with Brave, it automatically skips ads. So when I watch YouTube videos on Brave, I never get ads. But what you can do is you earn points for using Brave as a browser, and you could use those points to donate to YouTubers and whatnot. So I have all of the points I accumulate set to donate to me. So anyway. But it's a Chrome-based browser, and unlike Chrome, it doesn't hog all your computer's freaking memory. So
Interesting.
So yeah, I really like it. So it could do most of the things that Chrome does. There's a few case-by-case examples where it may not perform exactly the same, but for the most part, it does everything Chrome does, except hog freaking tons of memory from your computer. So, because a lot of people, they'll be like, "Oh man, I don't know why my computer runs so slow," and I'm like, "Do you have Chrome installed?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, that's why." Because Chrome is a little bitch and it hogs all your memory. It has this thing in it that makes it just constantly gobble up memory, so that if you open up another browser, it'll run like shit. While Chrome is optimizing itself by gobbling all your memory. Yeah. So, hey, Landed Walk and JDM Shadows are here. Sweet. The code is 742915. Anyway, we've not gotten started just yet. We're kind of chilling. I think there's powerful Super Sentinel over here. So yeah, the let's see, our free characters right now are Orion, not this version of Orion, but the regular version. Thatch, Ada, Sentinel, Taros, Asuri, Artemis, Zul, and Petra. So, hey, I totally understand. Thank you for giving what you did the other day or yesterday. But like I said, I don't expect anybody to donate every time they show up, or even I don't feel entitled to your donations is what I should say. I don't expect people to donate for me. I always think that it's wonderful when you guys do, but I don't feel like I'm not gonna rage like an e-thought when people don't donate $5 to me every time they pop into my chat, So.
All right, since we are still kind of waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and top off my drink, and I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Oh yeah, I need to fix the settings while we're waiting. Let's see, max players. Go up to 8. Map set. We want only the big maps because little maps suck. If I could switch map choosing to the host picks the map every time, that would be great. Because seriously, I'm
all right. Pretty much ready when you are.
Okay. So, oh no.
So I don't exactly have a clear timetable on when I'm going to be moving out of state.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get some documentation that would allow me to break my lease without penalty, and I was disappointed.
Right. So I just picked up.
Put it mildly.
I just picked up the Volkov black color palette.
Nice.
So.
Hello.
Hey, Shadow.
You do not need a Switch to play. It's available on Switch, mobile, Xbox and PlayStation? Is that or PC? Is it PC and not PlayStation? I don't know.
No, it's on PS4.
Oh, it's on PS4. Okay, so
I didn't have anything I'm playing.
It's cross-platform. It's on it's available on all kinds of stuff, and it's free to play. So.
What's the room code?
Room code is 742915. It's on PC too. You can get it on PC. Don't worry.
You can get it on mobile as well.
Yeah, it's mobile, PC, all kinds of things. So.
You can get it on virtually every device except for Apple Mac, but they're actually going to bring it out soon for that.
Oh, nice. But yeah, and it's cross-play, so you can play with people on other devices from your device. You're not limited to I'm not limited to playing with people on the Switch from the Switch and vice versa. So anyway, so yeah, it's Brawlhalla.
I've always found it kind of awkward and ironic that Apple now hardly ever does games. But
hey, Kale
when we were
Dreamer is
kids,
here.
when we were kids, Apple was where you got all the best games. That was back with the Apple II and so
yeah,
forth.
like Oregon Trail, yes, the best games.
Honestly, Apple was more famous for its screens. Like, you would drop it from, like, normal height and that, and it would smash and you would never be able to use it again. That's what it was most famous for. The games were good. I prefer the Samsung's games, like the old ones, because you could actually get like some really good games in there.
Pointy.
I need to
on you. Oh, there we go. Oh, well, now we're waiting on JDM Shadows.
Yeah, just changing my weapons.
Alright. Alright, Bins is here. Hello, Bins. Glad you made it in time for the first game.
There it is. I got Skyforged weapons.
Alright, there we go. Picking the best stage. Alright. Veteran of Asgard. Very cool.
Yeah.
3, 2,
1, roll! Okay.
Oh, you finally got black for Volkov.
Yes, I just got that right before we started playing, because the login bonus put me over the top, so...
Well, the login bonus should be even bigger soon. They're bringing out new stuff in the next patch.
Nice.
They're gonna be another bonus. There's gonna be another double bonus event.
Well, not exactly an event, but there should be double bonuses, I'm guessing. There usually is.
They want everybody to buy the new thing, because then they'll show it off, and then people who don't have the new thing will want the new thing, and people might spend money to get it. That's the goal.
Yeah, and that's what I want, the new thing. I already know I'm gonna get the avatar and that, but I want the weapon, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh god, no!
Because then I'll be able to play Ganesh.
Yeah.
And it's a spear thing, so I can play it with my my Christmas gauntlets.
Oh! Did you see that?
Yeah. So what do you think of Magyar? Now that he's
Good.
been out for a while.
He's only been out for like a week, I think.
Yeah, a little over a week. He came out not last Thursday, but the Thursday before that. So.
Oh, I love that knockout effect.
Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, I did a little bit of training mode with him. Thought he seemed interesting. He's got a lot of very nice moves, I think. But
You're gonna stick them with Mako, aren't you?
you know, I'll probably stick with Mako at least for now. But I do think I will actually pick him up. He just looks really cool. Like Resident Evil fan, not particularly.
I'm a Resident Evil fan. I used to, when I was a kid, I was scared of watching it. Now it's one of my favorite things to watch.
That first movie was okay, but the rest of them were just...
Yeah, I don't like. Do you know that? Yeah. I don't like. Do you know the Resident Evil movies where they're sort of like cartoon based?
Yeah.
I don't like them ones, because that's a bit weird. That ones. I like the actual ones with the actual people in. 1 and 2 were good. Because 1 was like just after 2. Like that actually has a good storyline to it.
The games,
yeah. The first live action movie was good. Everything after that one was just kind of popcorn fuel.
One thing I don't get is, has anyone seen the thing called the Umbrella Corporation TV show or something like that? I saw that on Netflix and that. I don't know if that's based off the movie series, or is it something else that's just named after it?
No, I don't know.
Because I'm confused.
Yeah.
I heard that they're doing a movie reboot and possibly a TV show reboot.
TV show, that's a little bit weird for them.
Yeah.
Movies, that would make sense, but a TV show?
I mean, they're all based on
It's a bit
video games in
creepy.
the first place, so, you know.
No, actually the movie was based off itself and other movies, and then the video game was based off the film. Because
The video game was...
Because they brought the game out just after the movie came out on PlayStation 2.
might have a different timeline being in the UK. Give me a second.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'm talking about they may have released them out in a different order in the UK. Let's see.
Well, all I remember is it came out and that after the movie came out.
Let's see.
That's how I'm pretty sure it came out in.
Okay. Okay. So the first Resident Evil game, which is called Biohazard in Japan, was released for the PlayStation 1 in 1996.
When was the first movie out?
Let's see.
About 2002 summer.
Well, that's a bit confusing. But
Yeah.
they probably didn't. Well, over here they probably didn't even have the first one because it was in Japan.
Like I said, in the UK, you guys sometimes get different video game release timelines than we do here in the US and in other parts of the world. So.
All I remember is PlayStation 2. You can get the Resident Evil game, and you would basically be killing zombies, that kind of thing. And it had decent graphics for the game.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's definitely that the video game franchise came first and the movies came later. Like there might not be the individual movies might not necessarily be based on the games.
3, 2,
but
1,
yeah, but yeah, it's a Japanese video.
Sometimes it's the way around. Like Back to the Future, they made a game and that on PlayStation, and then more modern consoles and that after the movie came out.
Oh yeah, way after.
Because even that they were more for about arcade games then. They didn't really have video games. They had the old Nintendo, but they didn't really do much coding.
Right.
I remember, do you know the stores and that, because they couldn't really buy home consoles and that, they used to have the consoles in stores. And you would have around 20 consoles, and not 20 consoles, but 20 games on it. It was like an advanced version of the original. I remember that. That was good.
Sounds like the Chinese knockoffs that have rip-off ROMs stuck in them.
It's like that, but it's not knockoffs, it's the original version. They had them in America. Yeah, it was a good way to advertise. It's like, for example, do you know how you'd go to a shop and that, and there'd be them push-me dolls and that? It's like the video version of that. You can actually, like, play the game and
I know
see how
what
it
you're talking
runs.
about when they had the in-store demo thing that had like
Yeah,
a
There
special
we go.
cart in it that had multiple games on it that you could try out.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, those were pretty common. You're right. Yeah, and I remember actually seeing some of those in arcades where it was like a arcade
Yeah.
machine that had like a bunch of different Nintendo ROMs, and you could put a quarter in and pick one. You know,
Yeah. They're actually
talking
pretty
Have,
rare
like,
to
Mike
find
Tyson's
these
Punch Out
days.
and shit.
Are you talking about the Play Choice 10 machines?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
shit.
Those are actually full-on arcade boards.
Yeah,
They're sort of like the Neo Geo MVS
right.
or AES. I forget which. But
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the ones
It
that I
wasn't-
saw were very much like the same game that you would get on the Nintendo, but it was quite.
The thing I love the most about is the fact that you can make your own games on it. They weren't exactly good and they weren't exactly the best, but it was fun, the fact that you can play your own game that you've made.
Yeah, the Play Choice 10s weren't simply NESs with arcade boards. The individual games were actually mini game boards and not NES cartridges.
Right.
On the flip side, the Neo Geo machines, those cartridges that were being put in there were almost literally the same thing as the
Same
ones you would
size as an
buy
arcade
from home.
board, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neo
Well, they
Geo
were
had
still cartridges, but they were nearly the size of a board.
fat. Yeah.
Yeah. Massive.
Yeah, I know what the Neo Geo cartridges looked like. They were freaking huge. Like,
Yeah. Well, you don't really see any original arcade machines much these days, unless you go to an actual original arcade
yeah,
place, and you'll
well-
probably usually find them there.
yeah, it's really kind of dying, like, and it's unfortunate. Like, because a lot of the places that do arcade games nowadays, they have to like go for like the super huge, can't possibly do this at home type experience. You know, like an arcade machine where you basically walk in and it's like you're on the bridge of a starship, and they got like a massive freaking projection screen where the gaming is taking place, you know, and then you got like all these different seats that you sit at with your controls, you know, you can have like 8 players at a time and shit. Like, it's just, you know, it's like you're never doing that at home. It's just, you know, those are the type of things, you know, similar to the driving games where you sit in the driving seat and have the gas pedals and shit, you know. It's like,
they were good then. I remember when you were when you're a kid and then you're not as big.
But what I'm getting at is that's kind of the direction arcades have to go in nowadays to keep themselves relevant, because otherwise they can get the same gaming experience or better at home and not have to spend any money. In some cases they can literally get the game for free. In other cases they can play the same game or a similar game for much less than, you know, they could, you know, paying 1/4 at a time, you know.
Well, you see, that's part of how the arcade industry has evolved, because there's a company called Raw Thrills, headed up by one of the old Midway guys.
Yeah.
And he's the one who's basically put together a renaissance of a company with new entries in classic arcade franchises, like the Cruisin' series.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to our local garbage pizza restaurant that I won't name and play Cruisin' Blast.
Yeah.
And the machine still has the Nintendo logo on it because Nintendo still owns that IP.
Right.
There's also the Halo Fireteam Bravo machine, which, you know, Bungie gave the license to, and that's something you can find at David Buster's or the same garbage pizza place that I won't mention.
Right.
And, you know, those are exclusive games in franchises. They are canon to console franchises, but those games will never, ever, ever, ever be on a console.
Right.
Except maybe like 20 years down the line.
You go to join room. You go to custom and then join room, and then type in the code up at the top there, 742915, and you can join in that way.
Yeah, there's I was actually thinking about buying an arcade machine. There's a guy that I'm not going to mention who knows another guy that has a collection of them.
Knows another guy.
Yeah, that has a collection of original arcade machines, and he has sometimes spares. And I think I can get a good deal on an original Street Fighter arcade machine.
Yes, we're in a Discord call.
Street Fighter 1 or 2?
1.
I'd do a hard pass on that piece of junk.
But he has most of the games. I can get 1 or 2 either way.
There's only one machine. Only one machine that I would absolutely go for an original.
Which one?
Oh, I've gushed about it before on this stream. It's the original 1983 Star Wars Vector game.
Oh, I remember that.
I want to
the release of it was actually. The release of it was good.
Yeah. If I ever have the space and the means, I'd like to get an original WrestleFest arcade cabinet.
What if Arcade 1-Up announces one in the next few months?
That might be interesting. I don't know if I would go for the Arcade 1-Up version, because they usually seem to be really dumbed down. So if it comes out with if they come out with a WrestleFest cabinet and it's like 2 players, I might still pass on it. You know,
oh, they wouldn't.
I mean, I believe the original cabinets were like 4 to 6, and you know, so
I'm pretty sure it was only as many as 4.
Yeah, I'm not 100%, but I know that you had 6 in the ring at a time. So I don't know if they had versions that you could play as all 6 or if it was just 4. But yeah.
Well, you could always check the Killer List of Video Games or the Arcade Museum website.
Yeah,
I'll
have to double check before. When I go to if I go to buy one, then I'll definitely do my research beforehand. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
because I want to get the best version I possibly can if I do go in. Did I?
I'll just keep keep in mind that with an actual arcade machine, you absolutely cannot get a CRT replacement anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, the people that
You
get
have
the
to have
most
somebody,
original
you have
stuff
to have
are
somebody
plastic
like custom
surgeons.
make a replacement for it. Like,
Also, if you want some original stuff, you even need a good lawyers and that they get like really good shit off their clients and that. If it's famous and that, they might even get original props and stuff like that, and also doctors.
This map is so AIDS.
I hate this map. Like, it's not my least favorite or anything, but yeah, I don't like it.
The cars on orange. Just putting that out there. There we go.
Oh my god, I hit him with that weapon, bro.
The mix is on 2 stocks.
Does that mean focusing?
What do you think? 2 stocks, that kind of thing. Actually, I'm gonna go for the
Bacon is disconnected. No, Bacon, why? Come back, Bacon, I love you! I mean,
You got that. We don't even know him.
Oh my god, I would've killed the Shuri, but somebody took
I
it.
love Bacon.
Is that Solus I hear?
Yeah, I've been here.
Hi,
I came here with Aquan too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hey.
I was playing Pokemon Vietnamese
noticed.
Crystal earlier. I was
noticed
playing
you were doing
Vietnamese
something when I
Crystal
started.
earlier, and I was fast forwarding so much that the game crashed, and I lost all of my progress.
Wait,
And the last time I saved was after fighting Bugsy, and guess who I just beat?
Bugsy?
No, I just beat Whitney.
Oh.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna have to go through a fight the rival again, which isn't the trouble. I have to go chase the stupid Farfetch'd again, and then I'm gonna have to do the most annoying thing, and that's fight Whitney again.
Oh, Frosted's game crashed. Oh, is that why you disconnected? I'm sorry, Frosted.
If I knew
Hey, Nick, you coming down here?
Nah, bro.
if I knew the game was gonna crash, I would have saved.
I don't
Right.
trust you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Honestly,
Yeah,
should have saved.
How
after fighting
dare
you.
the game not warn you that it's going to crash? What
No,
level is
I-
my Volkov? It's in the 20s, I think. Like
It's
late
over
20s,
25.
early 30s. Oh, okay, I don't know.
My favorite.
You gotta get 25 to get the black, I think.
Crystal is-
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
over 25.
yeah.
Vietnamese crystal is basically crystal badly translated.
And again.
Japanese, it's Vietnamese, and then translated from Vietnamese to English through Google Translate. So it's an actual version of the game, the Vietnamese version. Anyways, anyone
Yeah.
know the code?
Nice, powerful level 29 Volkov.
level 24 Artemis. How much?
I have a level 62 Wushong.
Yep. Yeah.
I got a level 78 Mirage.
Frosted says they're a whopping level 10. You coming back, Frosted? The room code is 742915. There we go. Bacon!
His name's
The bacon has returned.
Alright, so once again, the code is 742915.
Yo, Bacon.
I'm gonna go Lance Legend. I don't trust fighting the Artemis without a Lance.
Yeah. Is that
Oh,
Bacon?
huh?
Because if so, I'm psyched it's here.
Hunger, you're on Nintendo?
Hmm?
You're on Nintendo?
Yes, I'm on the Switch.
I am also.
Sweet. Alright.
Okay.
I'm in the toaster.
So,
Oh, that's
how
a
do
good
you-
character.
wait, I have a question. How do you stream on Switch?
I have a capture card connected to my PC, and I'm streaming with that.
Oh, okay.
Drink ASMR.
I like VR.
So,
Bacon has been playing this game for
It's
2
just, honestly, it's just some gamer subs. Keeps me up.
there
It
we
also
go.
makes me look like a drug addict.
Alright. I put the code in chat. So,
Like my eyes.
here we go. Alright, is everybody ready? What are we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we
everything.
have one more that was going to try and join, but
Hey, let's play Brawl Ball, actually. Just one game.
Brawl Ball. We can
Yeah,
do
just
that.
for the fun of it.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, never mind. Teams aren't even.
Coming in. But yeah, I picked up a HD capture card. It's called an FHD capture, and it was less than $100. You don't need anything super fancy, like, you know, I'm not like one of those people who's trying to stream in 4K or anything, so I don't have like a ultra powerful rig with a Elgato built into it or anything like that. So, damn it! It's the worst area in the game. Holy crap!
What? Who?
Big Thunder Guard.
Why did we get this match? I thought we literally picked
There were
most of us the
literally
same
5
way.
people who picked this one, and 2 people who picked. There were 5 people who picked the best place, and 2 people who picked this. And the game's like,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
yeah, we should definitely go with the one that 2 people picked. You know, I don't understand that. Like the voting, it's set to voting. This isn't how voting works, unless there's some weird ass electoral Brawlhalla college that I'm not aware of. You know.
Well, there is a whole lot of Brawlhalla.
Nice powerful Brawlhalla electoral college.
Yeah, there's a whole litany of jokes there. I'm gonna
Nice
skip.
powerful Brawlhalla election fraud.
This election was rigged.
Oh, now we're already getting into the politics.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to get into the politics.
No,
Yeah, it's,
no, that's actually quite funny, but literally, no, do you know Donald Trump?
you know,
When
I
he was
don't care
president,
for
he
Donald
was
Trump personally. But you know,
no,
it's,
but think about it. Donald Trump
What if we killed
is the thickest person alive.
he's,
Think about it. Before when he had COVID and they put him on a Regeneron, he looked normal. I know he looked like Neil off of the In-Betweeners movies where he had that weird tanning, like orange and stuff. What happened to him?
Is your mic okay? You kind of sound really fuzzy.
his mic is in his mouth, I think. I don't know what's
My mic isn't anywhere. My mic isn't in my mouth.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound rude. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I can't look at what you're saying.
No. He has the mic in his mouth and he's sucking it like a sucker.
It's the
I'm not that young. Jesus Christ.
you're like
Literally,
you're 2 steps away from being a teacher in Peanuts, okay? Like.
yeah, literally, I was there in 1983 when they brought out that fucking arcade machine that you were talking about earlier.
He doesn't quite sound like a wah-wah pedal yet.
Like I said, he's 2 steps away.
It sounds more like a Minecraft, like
I'd say 3.5.
Minecraft on YouTube showing a tutorial.
Oh my
I
god.
don't like
And like,
people that use tutorials. Just when I'm breaking myself.
Also, Hunger.
up?
Yo, that Orion was just 2 inches away from getting smacked.
Alright.
Losing your stock by the Black Knight.
Oh god! Oh,
Yo, is this Black Knight like cosmetics? Can you let me know?
the
I'm
Black
not
Knight
Cosmix,
always triumphs! Have at you!
I'm not Cosmix. I don't get why you call me Cosmix. I'm literally using the skin that Stingray plays.
I mean, but the way you're
Welcome back
using
to my
it, no,
Minecraft
I'm
video.
depicting, I'm basing it on the lance still, not the skin.
Also, Hunger. I need to give you a warning. In case
I don't
I don't know what I'm about to say right here.
He just lost us all with that move.
Don't worry, if you lost your train of thought, another one will come back. If you wake
Yeah,
up,
he's gonna call Hunger's true love. That's what he's trying to talk to about.
Yeah. A new train of thought will come by Imagination Station in a minute.
Did the original name guy gain any XP off that game?
oh man.
Doesn't it do XP based on how many hits you land or something like that? So
You get more XP from the amount of damage you do, the amount of kills you get, and the placement that you get. If you get first, you're gonna get a high amount of gold and high amount of XP,
I mean,
rather than if you're last.
Hunger, if you want to play Dodge Bomb, like,
oh, okay, yeah. Let's see.
So basically in dodgeball. If this was real life, I'd kick your asses.
I've played like 7 hours.
No, literally, when I was a kid and that, I was literally doing gymnastics and that, and I could play dodgeball like a fucking pro.
I don't know how I
Aren't you,
feel
like,
about the
platinum or
Discord
diamond?
being in the chat right now.
Oh God.
3, 2,
Yeah.
1, brawl.
I hated dodgeball so much. I simply
I
used
loved
as
it.
an excuse. I would stand there and let them hit me so that I could just have a chance to sit
Dude,
down and
dodgeball for me, what I did though in school was in dodgeball, I would literally just be walking in the. I was that one kid who walked in the back by the padded walls, you know, that are behind you or whatever in the gym room, and I walked by it. I walking dodged every dodgeball, didn't even get hit, like a total badass basically, and then.
Pretty much the same.
I never. Sometimes I did play. When I did, I would straight up just act like a freaking anime character or something.
No, me, when I was playing dodgeball as a kid in like secondary school, I was literally the one person I'd walk up right like in front of everyone and I'd tell them all to fucking chuck balls at me and I'll just grab them and just chuck it right back at them.
Yeah, I do when you grab the ball and throw it back with a counter attack.
I remember this one time, because I did literally, I actually used to be doing gymnastics and that, like I can know how to do front flips and that in real life, no trampolines, none of that. I think one time I actually did a backflip and that in the middle of dodgeball, touching people.
This is actually.
I think I might have got an ace from that because everyone just stopped and watched.
Yeah, I liked playing dodgeball back in like middle school because I would always, and elementary school too, because I would always like mess around in the back of the gym, but I always managed to dodge every dodgeball. I did sometimes throw dodgeballs at people when I felt like it, but I usually walked around with like my one friend that I had in elementary school, and we just talked about like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and such.
No, yeah.
Like, hey bro, you see that? You know, I got like a shiny Graveler the other day, but it used Explosion. So yeah.
Wow.
I'm not joking. I ran into a shiny Graveler in Pokemon Diamond when I was like 7, and I didn't know what shinies were. I was just like, huh.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing the red Gyarados in my copy of Crystal.
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Did you guys seriously just take each other out like that?
Afterwards, and I was like,
I survived.
Pokemon's like special or something. I go to Cerebi.net, my favorite trusty Pokemon site at the time, and then find out that shinies are these really rare occurrences, and I got so mad because the shiny Graveler I found in Pokemon Diamond killed itself.
Yeah.
And I was so angry because that was a shiny Graveler I randomly ran into when I was like 7. It was so long ago. I still recall it though because it was such a traumatizing moment.
Pro dodgeball playing it.
How do you think I play? Well, dodgeball is a good way to learn how to dodge weapons and that in game.
Yeah.
Well, Quan, if it makes you feel any better, I had several of those Pokemon Snap prepaid cards for Blockbuster, and I only got to redeem one of them.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I only got one set of stickers from it. Never got around to going back to getting any more stickers printed.
Pro dodgeball.
Oh,
That's
and then again, great. Let's keep going.
Alright.
Do you want to change it from dodgeball and then to free throw again?
Let me just pick Magyar right quick so I can't lose.
Actually, I could beat up your Magyar and know how to fight against it. It's not that hard.
Leave it to me.
I want to get that one character, Magyar. He's 7,200 points.
Marquez Golson. Welcome.
Did Magyar or Magyar?
It's
Magyar.
Magyar.
Look at the amount of defense he has, dude. He's almost got his defense maxed out.
He's a suit of armor.
If you want a good defense, go for Sir Roland.
I almost have enough for Magyar. I like how cool he looks too. I want to get him, and I only have 1,800 coins. If I use 7,200 coins or 100 mammoth coins.
Hey, yo, Hunger, like one game of Brawlhalla, please.
Maybe I just played Brawlhalla.
We played Dodge Bomb, but you know.
That's pretty much the same thing. I don't really care either way.
Maybe after this one then.
Wait, let me just get my best Sights player out.
Side splitter.
So mix then. Mirage, I bet you. Bet you Mirage.
I have a level
Alright.
78 Mirage. He is dog water.
Landed walk us back.
A level 70 or 17?
78.
Yeah, I posted the link a little earlier. You can just scroll up, unless it's not supposed to show in there for you. But yeah, give me a second.
Boy, trophy, I'ma put him on the shelf. Boom, boom.
Little
Why
occupied at
this-
the moment.
Cautious. I'm Artemis. I'm about to pick the best map.
Yeah, and then they'll kick you off.
Sunrise City, nice.
Uh-huh.
Drive City, where all toxic players can be in the bottom left corner.
3, 2,
Confusion?
1, brawl!
Trip, don't trip. Just let me get my lance right quick.
Shit.
I can win it.
I
Sunrise
can
City
get
is
my
the
lens
best
from
map.
Bob,
It's a map that you can actually use strategy in. Like, it's not
I want
just
my
a
lens.
it's
Yeah.
lifeless platform that sucks.
I'm getting candy combos. I love it. For your dog water.
Yeah, rock on is the toxic ones.
This trail I shall pierce the
You're
heavens!
calling people dog water here.
Oh god.
Okay, I'm starting to get really worried right now.
Why?
For your
You could be coming here at any moment.
Call you then, or are you gonna say to the car?
Gonna get in here.
If he comes in and he doesn't behave himself, then we can ban him. It's
What
no
the
big
fuck?
Dude,
deal.
I've been liked.
It's not like once somebody gets into your Discord, they can they stay there forever, no matter what.
I just don't want him to get in trouble, alright?
Yeah, you're not gonna get in trouble for what he does. I know you're different people.
I said I don't want him to get in trouble.
Who, me?
it's sold your brother server now.
I just got team comboed and got finished with an unarmed player. I'm dog water.
That's your issue, not ours.
Not like quick. Smack it around. I'm dirty low-key got to get hit with a down set, I'm telling you. I guess it'll have to be ADM.
Yeah, if this was 1v1, it's different story.
Yeah.
Who's just speaking to me? If it's ADM, I don't want
JDM.
Yeah, you're goated. I don't want to hear. You're like diamond.
And platinum. And, there we go, taunting. Since you taunted them, the other guy.
I'm just trying to taunt, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh god.
Okay, I can't tell what.
That's
I
one
can't.
quick game.
It's not my fault of practice.
Oh, let me show you my lance gameplay though. Let me show you my lance gameplay though.
Fuck now.
Let me show you my lance gameplay though.
Double teaming on me, alright?
Let me show you my lance gameplay.
Oh god.
Let me show you mine.
It's hard when you're fighting more than one person.
Get out of here.
It's okay, bro. It's good game. Good game.
I think certain
But
characters
it's
are
not exactly
actually
a good game when I got last.
I think certain characters are actually better when it comes to the big cluster fuck brawl matches like this. And I think Volkov is one of those characters. Like,
It's random if you... It doesn't care if you're the best player in the game or the worst than that. Even the worst player can get first place. Like, for example, Kosalix and that, a good player and that got last place against 20 people versus 1.
Bro, I took one
Because they all targeted.
Yeah.
The profile picture is a thing I drew.
Oh, nice. That looks really cool. I thought it was like a multicolored snowflake.
Oh, I made a Petra picture.
Me and Pavelski or Pavelski's 1v1 score is 3-0. We know who has 3 though.
Him.
Of course.
Downloading the game right now.
Man and Acno's game score is actually 1-2.
Pavelski is the 1v1 world champion. There's no way.
And Acno is the 2v2 world champion.
From 1v1.
And he's had the highest European lead in a while. No one's had a one whole year score. No. Akno's European.
I said I play USE.
And I play Europe.
Oh my god. Imagine if I was in this site game. I would be smacking. Yo! Do you not know how far Mordex's side stick goes? You could have punished him.
You do know he doesn't know much about the game. No offense to him. You can't just really like trash talk him for it.
I'm not trash talking him, I'm just letting him know there's a difference.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't want to hear that right now when he's concentrating.
He's a self-admitted filthy casual.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh god!
And
And
I'm a proud member of the Idgaf tribe.
Right.
Idgaf tribe?
Yeah.
What's that kind of stuff? Is that something that you find outside 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
You found some guy called Ifgaf and he's just in a weird cult.
No, Idgaf. IDGAF. I don't give a fuck.
like precise.
I thought you were talking about Gifgaf, the mobile service.
No, Hunger gets it.
Yeah.
I don't like to use profanity, but you know,
I like to use it.
I've got some mottos in my life.
I like to use it. I like to. Sorry.
Hunger, please let me.
I know. All right.
I've got some mottos that I live by, and the one is, I really don't care.
Yo, imagine it actually let me pick imagine it pick Small Grumpy Temple.
No, we're not gonna pick what you want. We pick what we all want.
Right. I love Sundrive City. I love the different options it gives you. You can make all kinds of fun plays here. It's just so much better thought out than most of the other levels in the game.
I had to use my Mordax to show me.
Alright, there you go. Got the car out easily. He was on white as well, so that's good.
I really wish that as they come out with new stages like that are better thought out like this one, that they start getting rid of some of the shitty ones like Big Thunder Dark.
So they bring out new stages and new battle passes. New battle pass isn't too far away. It's less than a month, I'd say.
Right.
Because they said they'd announce it somewhere in January, and it's near the end of there. Yeah. So it's probably going to come out in the start to maybe mid of Feb.
Yeah. I mean, they could drop something on Thursday.
They've already announced what the next patch is. They're bringing in 2 new skins and that, some new weapon skins, and a buff and a nerf.
Yeah, they do seem to like releasing new stuff on Thursdays, I've noticed.
Do they do, like, Valentine's Day colors or anything for February?
Yes, they do. I have them. I have every colour, so you name a colour in that, like, event, and I'll tell you if there is anything.
Cool.
They have lucky clear stuff.
That's why I asked you.
Because if there's a special skin or a color palette for something, JDM knows about it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I have the majority of skins in the game. I have over 200.
Right.
Yeah, we were
actually, I have around 230. So. Yeah.
We were talking about the games releasing over across the pond.
Yeah.
Hunger, you may not know this, but the reason why they tend to have much later releases than we do is because their government, they require that they have translations for all the text in like 5 different languages.
Right, because of EU stuff.
Yeah.
But like, even before that was really a thing, there were still various delays and gaps in which games were localized where and when.
Yep.
So,
And why?
And why, yeah, like. But
lots of government censorships or just squares in the government to say, nah. For arbitrary reasons.
The government is mostly corrupt.
Oh, shock of shocks. horror of horrors. Please,
Corrupt government. No, go on.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Perish the thought. There should never be corrupt officials in any government.
But even the NYPD are corrupt.
Oh my god.
Everywhere there's always someone that's corrupt. Even, think about what happens when someone talk about fucking aliens and that, they get caught by Area 51 and put in jail forever.
There's no such thing as aliens.
Oh, man.
How do you know that?
I mean, there are some
Area 51, Area 51, they're hiding something.
They're not hiding it at Area 51 though. Like
You're hiding at Area 52.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where if they were going to hide aliens somewhere, they wouldn't hide it where everybody thinks they're hiding it. Come on. Like,
They're transporting.
At least not anymore.
I'm pretty sure the CIA actually, either the CIA or the FBI, I don't remember which one, recently admitted the existence of UFOs.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. Like, some person uploaded a clip of a UFO, and the news did as well, and they actually did confirm that clip is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
and it wasn't some like random person; it was actually like confirmed by governments.
Right. The term UFO was
unidentified flying object.
Yeah, unidentified flying object. So, it's just because they confirm that the clip is authentic doesn't mean that they know what it is. It just means that yes, that there is a clip. The object in it has not been identified. Take it for what you will. Like people got really excited about it. It's like
UFO.
They didn't come out and say, hey, by the way, we've had contact with aliens for years, and there's a lizard wearing a loose-fitting skin suit in the White House. Like they didn't say that.
Yeah, I'm playing the alien is real.
What character am I? I'm playing Volkov right now. And by playing, I mean spectating, because I got my ass kicked like I normally do. Like, people don't believe me sometimes. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm a filthy casual at this game. I'm not that good. Like, beating me is not a huge accomplishment. It's not a big feather in your cap that you can brag to your friends about. Like...
Please.
Who the heck is Hunger's entertaining Let's Plays?
Yeah. But yeah, it's Brawl Ball. Okay, let's do a.
I'm desperate.
Hunger Steals.
Is it what, Beach Brawl or?
Put me on the team you want to lose,
wait,
Hunger.
Brawl Ball. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, automatic team picking. Here we go. There we go.
Wait, let me use Artemis 9 speed. Okay.
Hold on.
Right.
I'll be on red team because I want to have red skin.
Aw.
Put me on the blue team because I'll make them lose.
Oh god. We'll just keep it.
I'm
like
sorry.
this.
I'm sticking with the Surrey because I'm trying to get everyone on my roster to 25.
Right.
And I'm on red. I want to be red.
I know. We're just doing this for one battle, and then
Red is the color of blood.
Yeah.
I wear the red suit because that way the enemies can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea.
This guy's got
He's wearing the brown pants. Oh man.
Alright.
I recently watched a clip. It was an older clip from a couple of years ago, but it's Deadpool taking over Stephen Colbert's monologue. He gets Thanos snapped at the end.
I like the part
what about the Deadpool clip where he's like saying I'm sorry because he said like something about saying that sounds like something else? I don't remember much. And I'm giving football tickets. Oh come on.
Hilarious.
I like the commercial theories with like.
You can actually make a profit of Deadpool. Think about it, you cut his dick off, it regrows.
Oh, geez, if he was running between quarters and 10. I don't mean right now.
Deadpool could get incinerated down to one single atom and still get regenerated.
Alright.
Yeah.
Same as Wolverine.
That's what I was about to say.
But Wolverine's like... Wolverine wishes he has what Deadpool has.
Dude, the movies nerfed Wolverine way too much because of the original source he was melted to an atom before and regrew from it. The movies are like, oh, he gets shot in the chest by a shotgun and falls over.
Wait,
Yeah, but he did take a nuclear bomb. He took the bomb of Hiroshima.
I mean, yeah, I mean, in the movie The Wolverine from 2013, he did survive a nuclear explosion.
Oops.
Yeah, and he walked it off like it was nothing. And I feel like,
Shake
you know, like
shake it off. Oh.
Yeah, if you compare, think about it, he got shot in the head by a police officer, he was knocked out for a few minutes, but when he first got his adamantium stuff, he got shot in the head and nothing happened. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
I would say that the movies nerfed him, they just didn't go that far with him.
Yeah, they didn't show. In Logan, he was like already dying, so they didn't really get to show his powers off. I wish they could have showed his powers off more in that movie because Logan was bloody and like they could have shown more things of Wolverine. Like they did show him cut off people to pieces, but they didn't really show him get cut to pieces. Like when he
They could have explained why he was dying. I know.
They did. You had to pay attention. Basically, and I was surprised that I picked up on it through the subtle imagery and so forth. But basically, it was additives in the food. They're putting it in all the corn, and that was causing people to no longer have the mutant gene passed on. That's why they had the line, you know, there's no more new mutants.
It's the high fructose corn syrup is what it was.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's literally high fructose corn. They literally said high fructose corn syrup in that movie. They're like, it's the high fructose corn syrup that we're putting anti-mutant shit in the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, well the thing is, there's a lot of subtle visual cues and hints to that before they even got close to that line being said.
Yeah.
So I was like, I put two and two together within the first 30 minutes of the movie. I'm like, it's the food additives. It's in the corn. And usually I have to watch a movie almost all the way or a second time to pick up on subtle stuff like that. So I felt proud of myself.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. All I figured it was because of the poisoning from the. Because
that's what I thought.
The way he was dying was from the adamantium inside him over time. His healing factor was weakening because of the adamantium, and over those 100+ years of living, over the 200 years he's alive for, he's finally dying from it.
I would say that without the poisoning, he would live for another 100.
Yeah, without the poisoning, without the adamantium at all, he'd basically be immortal. If he had never entered Project M, he would have the weapon program. He never signed up for it. He actually could have been immortal.
Yeah, but think about it though. If he wasn't in the fucking thing about Hiroshima, he would have died there.
Yeah, well,
because he did fight in a lot of wars. That's why he was over there. He was fighting fighting against Japan and that, and then he fought. I'm guessing he was fighting against Japan because he's an American guy. He doesn't really.
Oh my
do
god!
much.
This is exactly why I wanted to play.
All right.
So he would have died there, and then.
I don't know. But yeah.
Plus, I wish they had more different kinds of adamantium, like the ones in the comics.
Yeah.
Because they have different versions.
Right.
Well, in the comics, Cap's shield is made out of the titanium and adamantium alloy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Or titanium, adamantium, and vibranium, sorry.
Yeah.
But of course, because at the time, Marvel, Disney didn't own the rights to the X-Men and the various sci-fi tech that's involved, they just said, vibranium.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the way adamantium's made, it's a mix of vibranium, steel, and an unknown object, and they bind that together and they made not vibranium. I mean, not vibranium, adamantium.
3, 2.
Of course, vibranium's story is very simple. It was from an asteroid that crashed and fell to Earth.
But yeah.
Yep, I was one of those that was basically betting on the Soul Stone being inside the vibranium asteroid for Black Panther. Glad I didn't bet money on it.
Alright.
Did you lose?
No, I said I glad I didn't.
How much will you hit that? If it's 50 grand, you're insane.
Yeah, I like a lot.
That's the type of bet that you don't make unless you have inside knowledge, like you know the scriptwriter or some shit, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't want to be mean, but Thanos is a bit of an idiot. Why did he give Loki the fucking Mind Stone in the first place? Literally, the one stone that he has, and he gives it to someone called the God of Mischief. Just because he promised another stone, that he could have just went over there and got himself.
Well, it was disguised inside of the
Tesseract.
staff. No, well, he gave him the Mind Stone disguised inside of that staff.
Yeah, but the Mind Stone was in the staff, so it was unable to be controlled. Because it's an Infinity Stone. You could hold an Infinity Stone and it would destroy a whole planet.
Only if you have the fortitude to hold the darn thing. You see what it almost does to Star-Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like
Celestial.
Only half celestial.
yeah, they
He's
had
half
to.
celestial.
They had to basically share the power between all of them in order to make it work. Because one of them by themselves, no one of them by themselves could have controlled that much power. So,
Neither could two, but not even two.
yeah.
For the most part, I really like all the little changes and twists they've done to make the MCU work with the absence of the rights of certain things.
Right.
Yeah, I thought they would have brought in, Fantastic Four in Endgame. Because they didn't exactly add them in, but if you think about Stark Tower and that from Avengers, that became Avengers Tower, and then afterwards when they sold Avengers Tower, that went to the Fantastic Four. They were the ones that bought it.
Yeah, that's the main popular held theory about the building. But nothing's been confirmed as of yet, aside from the fact that they're working on a Fantastic Four movie. And they've got the guy behind Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a third Spider-Man soon coming.
A third Spider-Man 3, you mean? Or a second Spider-Man 3?
Pretty much, yeah. But it's not gonna be like that. It's basically just gonna be like Homecoming and that one, the other one. I remember when they both came out. I remember watching them in cinemas, as well as Endgame and Infinity War, and almost every single MCU movie. Watching them, they were good.
Yeah, I'm a major Webhead fan, and I didn't truly become a fan of the MCU until they knocked Spider-Man right out of the park with Homecoming, and it was like the end of that year I started collecting all the movies.
I collected movies when as soon as they brought out the first Spider-Man movie on disc, I bought that. Then the second, third I didn't like, but I still got it either way. And then after when they brought Iron Man and stuff like that, I actually collected every single movie, even Doctor Strange, I love him.
No!
Yeah. I have Endgame somewhere around here.
GC, Big Bands, Dre, GG.
Really care for the MCU, especially MCU.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. I wish that. I'm glad he has rights to him again, at least, because the first three Spider-Man movies, those were good. Then there was the reboots, which sucked, and then there was Homecoming, which they made him way too young and annoying and.
Spider-Man 3 out of that original trilogy was terrible. There was too much crammed into it. It had way too much crap going on. It was not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. But the thing with him being too young, he's supposed to be that age. It's the other movies that have him too old.
I know, but it's
Yeah. Well, apparently in the next Batman movie we will have.
The actor looks like he's like 13, and even in the comics, Spider-Man's like 17 or something.
No, he's
Yeah, and he's
no. Spider-Man starts out being
Guys look like that when they were that young.
in most of the continuities in the comics. Peter Parker starts being Spider-Man at 15.
I know, but he looked older than the actor. The actor looks way too young to be 15. I don't know, they just designed Spider-Man to look like a 15-year-old from the 50s, I guess.
no, he's got a 50s haircut.
I wasn't saying that Spider-Man 3 is a good movie. It's bad in a good way. Unlike the reboots, it's the funny kind of bad, you know? Spider-Man,
Yeah, it's too much funny, not much serious.
it's something like, I don't know a good comparison right off the bat, but it's one of those movies / games that are laughably bad but also funny at the same time because
You just like it because it was a meme generating machine. Okay,
Yeah.
like that's what you like about it, is that it generated a ton of memes because of
Yeah.
how bad it was. But but yeah, it was a memeable movie, but it as a movie it was pretty bad.
the first two before it, especially the sequel, was actually the best superhero movie ever released, or one of the best. Spider-Man 2.
You can blame Sony for that because at that point they were getting really
Look, I have-
swelled head. They were
I have a lot of complaints about Spider-Man 3 outside of the memes, okay? Like, first of all, my biggest complaint is Venom in the movie. That's my biggest complaint.
Honestly,
He was nothing like
Venom in the
Venom.
movie was pretty close. It was just rushed.
Yeah.
That's how Venom is supposed to work in most continuities, but they rushed the ever-loving shit out of it.
Venom, yes. They got the origin for Venom right.
Yeah.
They nailed it. But the thing they messed up on was his design looks awful.
He looks like a cheap. He looks cheap.
Venom does not have nails, for one. For two, Venom is not a skinny. He's like ripped, you know. Venom is like buff.
Eddie Brock is a buff guy.
Yeah, Venom looks jacked. That's
They got like this soy boy to play Eddie Brock.
Yeah,
when in the
Venom-
comics,
Venom Light.
like some freaking bodybuilder, like.
They should have gotten like John Cena, honestly.
Yeah, John
somebody with that type of a build.
No, Hulk Hogan for Eddie Brock. He's
Hogan.
Yeah, they should have made him from Eddie Brock from Spectacular Spider-Man from the early 2000s. They should have made Venom fit like that.
No,
Because he was buff.
I feel like Sandman was done better, but Venom shouldn't have even been in the movie. They should have made a full
Yeah.
Venom.
I feel like Sandman was Lowell Mather from Wings, and it's just
Yeah. His design. What I mean is his design was a lot better than Venom's design in the movie. Venom.
I mean,
Yeah, Sandman
it's
is a bit more
it's harder to
accurate.
screw up something like that, but yeah. Like,
Personally, I think the conflict for that movie could have been solved better is get rid of some of the cheesy scenes. I mean, sure, the dance scene is iconic, but
I mean, basically, by trying to cram two different villains, in, or,
Yeah.
you know, and the new Goblin character in there, they basically ran into the same problem that the later Batman movies ran into during the first set of Batman movies.
I think the biggest problem with superhero movies is when they cram multiple villains.
Yeah, like when you try to
in, it's
cram
just that,
all the villains,
because they don't have enough time to.
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
enough time to flesh
If
out
they
or
had-
develop anybody. It's just
Yeah, if they just made it the conflict Sandman versus Evil Parker, then he could have been just a conflict with how he was angry at him.
They
Could've gotten
they really
more-
should have split it into two movies. They should have had a Sandman movie,
Yeah.
and then they should where like you said, he's fighting Evil Peter, and
Yeah.
then after that they could have done a Venom movie.
That's what I was about to say. And hey, they did make a Venom movie,
Yeah, but it was a solo Venom movie. It wasn't anything.
which critics are
And
stupid.
it doesn't tie with the MCU or anything.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
going
glad
to tie it into the MCU.
they were allowed to make
Morbius.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
When
glad.
the Morbius movie eventually gets released, it's going to tie in with the MCU and the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange, and it's going to be one
know.
giant continuity cluster junk.
I know. I hope they don't ruin Venom 2. They've already had to delay it because of the coronavirus. It was supposed to come out back last year in October. It was
Right,
supposed to come out in October 2020.
The thing is, they didn't want Venom eating anybody on set and getting COVID, so they had to wait. And now they've got better testing. You know?
Yeah, they didn't want Venom to get the coronavirus, even though he has a healing factor.
No, because it could cause the symbiote to mutate and become more transmissible, and you know.
Yeah, dude, just become
nobody wants that, you know.
That's super Venom.
You know, people just catching Venom from contact from
But yeah, no, that would have been so much better done from the third movies. It was just.
Could you imagine the symbiote as an easily transmissible disease?
Yeah, Black Suit Spider-Man versus Sandman, and at the end of the movie, there's like a post-credit scene. Now I know they didn't. Yeah, it's like a post-credit scene with Spider-Man going to get rid of the black suit inside the church, and then it creates Venom, and the end of the movie ends with like the Venom jump scare or whatever. And they could have made Venom's design so much more comic accurate, got a much better accurate, instead of having this like twink Venom.
Yeah, well,
That's what they call him.
Well, there was actually an editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 that improves a few things.
yeah, I would bet.
I know, I have it on DVD.
The editor's cut? That was only on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Blu-ray. That's only Blu-ray. I have the Spider-Man Blu-ray collection that has everything. One, the director's cut of Spider-Man 2 and the director's cut of Spider-Man 3. Because there were director's cuts for both of them, or the extended cut, or whatever it's called. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the 2.1 version of Spider-Man 2 is just different and not better.
Yeah.
If I was to put together a extended cut of 2.1, I would simply keep 99% of what was in the theatrical, but I would add in that sequence where you've got Jameson jumping around and playing with the Spidey suit.
Yeah, I love that scene.
But there's some extended parts in the fights that were put in, but there's some alternate cuts that are supposed to be like funnier.
Yeah. Wasn't
That
Spider-Man
aren't.
3, it's been a while since I watched the director's cut for Spider-Man 3, but wasn't it like there was a scene where Spider-Man is Peter Parker's staring in the mirror and you can see Venom behind him back when he has the black suit on?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but it makes the suit seem more like he's got a drug addiction to it, which I thought was the angle they should have gone with to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
there is sort of that sort of thing with the suit where like the more he wears it, the more he wants to, that type of thing, you know. Like,
Yeah. There's a shot where you see the suit like literally breathing inside the case that he's got it sitting in. And he's looking at it longingly.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene.
But with the theatrical version of 3, it's just like he starts using the suit and he just starts acting like a douche.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Like, not instantly, just after he had a nice sleep.
Right.
Right.
They thought that it would be too dark for them to make it seem like a drug in the theatrical effects. There were a lot of kids there.
Right.
Oh, one thing I have to say,
But my parents
one thing they absolutely nailed in 3 is they basically took that nightmare sequence that they had in the animated Spider-Man show from the 90s, and they put that on the big screen, and then he wakes up hanging upside down in the black suit.
Yeah.
That was perfection.
Yeah.
That was
agreed.
That sequence was worth the price of admission.
But yeah,
at the end of the movie, my butt wanted its 2.5 hours back.
Right. Honestly, yeah, I do think it would have been better to split it up into 2 movies, like we were talking about earlier. I also think that Sandman isn't necessarily the best character to do for show for that character arc with the suit. I think it'd be better to go with a more powerful, like a more heavy hitter type character, like Scorpion or Rhino or something like that, where it's somebody that's like really physically powerful, and you can really showcase how much more powerful Spider-Man is with the suit.
I guess they already had it written to where Sandman killed his uncle, and they wanted him to have rage, which would work the suit. But they could have made a different villain was the one who killed his uncle, like Rhino. Rhino is a criminal, just like a regular 2-bit criminal who uses like a suit. The fighting.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 ending where he's fighting Rana.
Oh.
He suicided. I
No
won.
idea what happened there. Alright, well.
Double suicide.
Someone jumped off the edge and allowed me to win, even though I was about to take him out anyway. I guess he didn't want to lose to me, but he still did technically.
I don't know.
Idgaff for life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I do feel, because it is something where if they had set it up right, they could have really showcased how much more powerful he was.
Yeah, they could.
You know, and things like that. And I think that the way that, you know, trying to cram it all into one movie was a bit much. I think that they really should have gone with. I think they really should have tried to space it out over time, but you know.
In the comics, the black suit makes his power stronger by tenfold. And there was one point in the comics where I know you're like, oh, it's people be like, oh, but that's the comics. But at one point in the comics, without even the black suit, he held the entire Daily Bugle, I believe, was carrying it to support it from crashing on the ground or something, with his pure strength without the black suit. And they really could have shown his strength with the black suit if he did fight someone besides Sandman. Because let's be honest, Sandman was kind of stupid.
Well, like,
yeah,
it's because it's one of those things where in the animated series when they did that arc. They did use Rhino, and like
he almost killed him too.
Yeah, it was a fight where like they had Rhino just literally beat the shit out of him the first time they fought. He literally walked over his prone body as he was leaving. You know, just completely dominated the shit out of him, and then with the black suit, he's like, you know. He's like, oh, let me just break your arms real quick, you know.
He picks up that whole wall. It's about to smash him with it.
Yeah,
and then he's like, "Shocker! I'll chase you to the earth." I love that scene.
But yeah, it's just a different vibe. You know, who are we waiting on here? Is that
original name?
Oh.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Sorry.
All right, there we go. All right, but yeah, it's. I think there are, you know, like you said, there were certain things that the movie that it did well, but overall it's not a good movie. And
it was all ruined by executive Sony Fiat.
Yeah.
They got a swelled head because they were ruling the gaming industry with the PlayStation 2. They were ruling electronics industry with their computers with their VAIO and their memory sticks and all that, and their MP3 players, and they were ruling the box office with the Spider-Man franchise, and so they started making dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision.
Yeah, they got too
Nice, I got killed while I was busy just texting.
They thought that they would get away with selling a overpriced, feature overstuffed console in the PlayStation 3 for $600 US. They thought that they could basically bully themselves into the home movie market, or the physical home movie market with HD movies with the Blu-ray format, and you know they tried to take half of Hollywood with them.
Now, one thing though for the PS3, they actually allowed homebrew. Like they gave you the option to actually homebrew your system. You wouldn't get bricked for it.
Yeah, but then they worked that out with a firmware update, and they faced a class action lawsuit.
Yeah, because that's all
because they sold it to people with the understanding that they could put Linux on it and shit. But yeah, so when they tried to firmware update that feature out, they got resistance big time.
Yeah, because other third-party companies don't like fans, and they're like, Sony, you can't do.
It was mostly because people found a way.
Yeah,
it was mostly because people found, easy way to pirate with all that. So that's why they,
Yeah, it's the same.
They did what they did.
There's a similar reason to why Pokemon takes C&D so many companies. I can't really hate Game Freak so much for it, as much as I hate them for it. At the same time, there's actually a law similar to that where if they don't do something about one of their IPs that currently exist, and is having something that's like a pirated version of it, or like, say, a ROM hack that's not under parity law. I think the reason Clover hasn't been C&D is because it's under parity law. But
it's a fair use.
Pokemon Uranium wasn't under parity law, and the thing is, actually thanks to a law Disney made, I don't remember the exact law is, but it's part of the entertainment industry now. If you don't cover something of your own copyright within the next 20 years of it existing, you could actually be fined. And if you're allowing someone to sell illegal copies of your game or something like that?
Not necessarily, but basically the way that copyright law works is that copyright protects not only the original work, but also derivative works, or works based on it. So, so for example, if if you write a fan fiction based on a particular manga or anime series, or a novel that you read, or a movie you watched, and it uses those same characters and whatnot, you can't go out and just publish that because it's a derivative work. It's based on characters that are under copyright to somebody else. But like you said, Pokemon Clover is what's called a fair use, and fair use has 4 factors. The factors for fair use are, does it usurp the market for the original? In other words, are people getting the same exact experience playing your game that they are getting with the original? Which Clover is, it's a similar experience for sure, but it doesn't, if you play Clover, you're not going to go, oh, I've played Clover, I don't need to play Pokemon Fire Red anymore. I think Clover wins that one. The next is the character and purpose of the use, which that's where the parody comes in. Because if it's used for commentary and criticism, which again, parody is usually under that. I don't know why it reset the maps, but anyway. The character and purpose of the use is another one. Another one is the amount and substantiality of the basically the portion of the original work that you're using. So if you're talking about the original Pokemon Fire Red, how much of it is left in Pokemon Clover? Like, how much did they have to rework and rewrite to make it into what it is?
Yeah.
So
Clover's basically an entire reworking of it.
Clover reworked most of the game. There's hardly anything left of the original game. I'm guessing there's quite a bit of the original code still there, but a lot of it has been rewritten, and so it's and you can easily see by playing the game that it's not really the same game anymore.
Yeah. And the reason I think the reason I think games like Uranium got C&D though was because they're EXE, like the RPG Maker type games, and those I guess aren't classified under I don't know.
Here's the thing. Here's the real reason that Uranium got C&D is because they released it too close to a main series Pokemon game.
Oh yeah.
They released it really close to the release date of a main series game, and people were like, "Oh, why buy this main series game when I could just play this one for free?"
I guess
it's also the reason why AM2R was put out of its misery.
So,
and Pokemon.
Nintendo had its own Metroid 2 remake in the oven, and they didn't want it to lose any sales. And unfortunately, all it did was actually negatively impact their sales of their own remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, with Game Freak not doing what the fans want, it's no wonder they're worrying about games selling better than theirs do. I mean, well, these ROM hacks don't even sell for money; they're free. So
right, but the thing is, copyright even protects the original copyright holder against distribution without monetary gain. So whether you're making money on it or not, you can still get in trouble for copyright infringement because you're costing the sales. But,
and for instance, that's yeah.
But again, and then
That must be why ROM hackers don't like patches.
But yeah, so like I said, because Clover I think clears most of the fair use factors. If it came down to a court case, I'm pretty sure that you can make a pretty strong case for Pokemon Clover not qualifying as a fair use of Game Freak's assets and not get in trouble for it.
Yeah, also since the full version of Clover came out in April 2020, like the full release of it came out then. But sure, it released in 2017, and it was pretty popular back then, thanks to people like you and Callum.
Right.
But even though it released then, it wasn't the full game, and even though 2017 we had Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Moon. But with Pokemon Clover's next release coming out like early 2020, what the heck? I glitched out or something, I don't know. Yeah, I guess since it didn't interfere with their releases, they had no reason to C&D it, despite how popular the ROM hack has become.
Yeah, well, and again, there's enough of that that's different that, like, Nintendo really doesn't have too much room to bitch about it,
True. They have all their own Pokemon.
All the Pokemon have been replaced. The music is different.
That's why I fear about the Gaia update. I hope that Gaia doesn't get C&D'd, because actually I've
almost all
been
the
waiting
characters'
for
rights are
update
completely
forever.
different,
Yeah.
But yeah,
at least Gaia has some new stuff. Yeah, that's why hacks with Fakemon have less chance of getting C&D'd.
Right.
And ones
and honestly, Nintendo has borrowed quite a few ideas from various Clovermons in Gen 8, so I don't know if they did it intentionally or if it's just a case of parallel development, but it is kind of sus that Clover comes out, it has a bouncing sheep in it, Gen 8 comes out, it has a bouncing sheep in it,
Oh yeah, the bouncing sheep and Clover's bouncing sheep was designed, like one of the first mons designed back in like 2014 or 15.
Yeah, and then we have the Galarian variant of Upchuckin in Cramorant.
Oh yeah, then we have like the half-priced EV items, medicine, which are also in the
Pokemon Clover has a bunch of abomination-type Pokemon that are made by mixing and matching parts from two different Pokemon. The fossil system for Gen 8 is mixing and matching two different fossil halves to make 4 different Mons.
And they're all terrifying.
They're all terrifying abominations, yes.
There's some suspicious similarities here.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspicious little things in there that's like,
Guys, because I know it's Game Freak, but I know other Nintendo devs like to copy work from fans and take the credit. Yeah. They've done it before, so it wouldn't be too sus.
But yeah,
it is sus. Sorry, they used the term wrong.
They've picked off some ideas from other sources like Digimon as well. So
Oh yeah. Well, Digimon and Pokemon have always copied each other since the dawn of time.
I mean, I think Digimon and Pokemon originally were more of a case of parallel development. But yeah, there are some things in Digimon that you look at it like, yeah, they definitely looked at Pokemon and said, oh, this is how we can use this character.
And then Pokemon's like, yeah, let's take Mega Evolution.
Yeah, Mega Evolution.
And
there's a few things that was like, oh, because if you look at how Digimon evolutions work in the anime, that's how Mega Evolutions work in the game. It's like, oh, it's a temporary thing, and then it goes back to being the cute little thing it used to be.
Yeah. And Mega Evolutions for Pokemon, they totally took the name. But Mega Evolutions was Game Freak's lazy way of balancing Pokemon. It worked, though, and it made some things really powerful, too.
In the Japanese version of Digimon, the Mega forms are Kyukokutai or Kyukokushinka, which is closer to Ultimate if you translate it literally. But the in Japanese, for Pokemon, it's still Mega Evolution or Mega Shinka.
Yeah, I think.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
But the real thing that the thing is, if you look at how Mega Evolutions looked with the whole thing where the mod is encased in an orb, and then you go back and watch like the third Digimon movie, that's like exactly what those look like. The
I know.
Evolutions that were in that movie, you know. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, kind of, you know. But yeah, they really they really do kind of snipe ideas from each other a lot, you know.
Seen monster designs be seemingly sniped from one another between Digi and Poke?
Cutemon looks like Pikachu. It does. It like there's a mon in Digimon. It shows up first in Digimon Cross Wars. Its name is Cutemon. It has Pikachu's face. Same thing with Terriermon. Terriermon and Lopmon have Pikachu's face too. Like they don't have the cheeks, but they have the eyes and the mouth and the nose. Like it's the exact same face.
Yeah, there's like, yeah.
So yes, there are cases of the two of them sniping mon designs from each other. So you know. So yeah,
I was just curious. I hadn't thought of that because just most of the monster designs on Digimon are just way out there.
Most of the designs for Digimon are way detailed, but yeah, some of the smaller mons that have less details to start with, that's where you see a lot more of the that's this Pokemon. You know, like.
Yeah, and then in Pokemon.
What's the room code?
Oh, the room code.
You have all these detailed Pokemon that are just
Digimon.
Digimon.
Right in front of me at the moment. But,
742915.
There you go.
A lot of Pokemon's legendaries prior, after Gen 3 and onward. Gen 3 and onward, a lot of the legendaries look like Digimon.
A lot of the Ultra Beasts look like Digimon.
Hey, the Ultra Beasts aren't even Pokemon, they're from a different world.
Yeah, the digital world. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, the portals do kind of look digitized that they come out of.
You know, the thing is, Pokemon is a video game, and the characters in Pokemon know this. Like, you know, you see all these people, it's like, oh, why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do that? It's because they can't, because they're in a video game and they're being constrained by that game's rules. That's why. That's why you don't get jumped by 8 Team Rocket grunts at once, because they're in a video game and they're being constrained by that game's rules. They have to fight you.
Game's rules, but I can't just walk. Apparently, I'm too stupid to walk around this shrubbery, and I must cut it down with smooth cut.
Right, but like the thing is, the characters are in a game and they know this. There's plenty of characters in the game that make reference to the fact that it's a game, as well as you know, the not so subtle cheeky self-insert from the Game Freak staff. You know, that's in every freaking game in the main series.
They literally in the game say, "Hey, I designed this game.
Yes, I designed you." You know, like. You know,
not just fourth wall breaking. That's your character's literally aware they're in a game.
Yes, the characters are literally aware that they're in a game. You know, there's a character in Gen 1 who says, "Hey, I just finished Pokemon. I don't need this TM anymore. Here you go." You know.
Yeah, there's all the NPCs who play on their Game Boys.
Yes, there's all these NPCs that play the game on their Game Boys. It's like, oh, I'm playing Pokemon Red. I'm playing Pokemon Blue. I just traded my friend a Kadabra. You know, like, you know, like yeah, they you know, and you have a game console in your room every single game in the main series.
Yeah, like it, since we're playing on a handheld. Yeah.
I do like you can on one of the screens, or one of the consoles you'll find in the original, you'll read the text on the screen.
Mario has
says,
a bucket on its head.
Yeah, it's a game with Mario with a bucket on its head. Now neat. And I knew that was from or at least a game that never came out in America.
Yeah.
It's Mario and Wario, done by Game Freak.
Yeah.
So that was a fun nod.
But yeah,
I was really disappointed when I heard it was canceled.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh, mine. Dang it! Mine!
Yeah.
No!
It was the Sony. It was the Columbia Pictures Sony guys who were basically telling Sam Raimi to add all this extra crap into the into Spider-Man 3. The reason why he flubbed Venom so badly is because he was a diehard Spider-Man fan back in his day, but Venom didn't come around until sometime after he stopped reading comics.
Right.
So it's amazing that he did as well with that character as he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh God!
So how does this game work?
How does it work?
I've never played.
It plays like Smash Brothers.
Alright.
If you played Smash, you pretty much know the rules. You have to knock your opponent off of the map. If you fall down, you lose. You get 3 stocks, at least in the mode we're playing right now.
Do you still need that room code?
Oh God!
Alrighty then.
Oh no, he's back. Fuck! No! I lose.
Player 3 wins.
GG Big Bands, Dre. But yeah. Okay, so the room code is 742915. Oh man. But yeah.
Yeah, Sony has this really bad habit of getting to the top and then just trying to coast on forever, thinking that they don't have to do anything more.
Right.
And it's going to bite them in the butt big time with Microsoft this time around.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft is out for blood this time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Sony and Microsoft both have had very disappointing game libraries. At least from my perspective, the last couple of gens, like neither one of them had enough games where I was like, ooh, I gotta have that. Like that's what it always comes down to me for me with exclusives is does this console have enough exclusives that I really feel like I absolutely have to play? And if the answer is no, I don't pick up that console. Like that's just how it is. Like I'm not going to drop that kind of cash if it doesn't have more than X number of games that I really want to play.
And what really sucks for you is that your favorite genre had been on a massive decline for the past couple generations.
Yeah. I love RPGs. I really do. And yeah, they're being ignored, or and people are like, oh, people just don't have enough time or attention span to play through RPGs these days. It's like, the people who play these games still exist. It's just
That's corporate speak for we don't want to put all the necessary hours into an RPG that has such a small audience and a very low number of, or a very small audience to recoup our investment from.
Here's the thing. There's a bigger audience than they think. They just have to make a good product. Because Final Fantasy VII sold really, really well because it was an amazing game. Like, when they did this Final Fantasy VII remake, they tried to turn it into something it wasn't. And I think it did them more harm than good. But, when they're talking about making games, they did the same thing that Disney did back in the Eisner era. They just made shitty movie after shitty movie after shitty movie, and they said, "Oh, people don't want to see 2D movies anymore. That's why they're not going and seeing our shitty movies." It's like, no, they're not going and seeing them because they're shit. Nobody wants to sit there and watch shit dry for 3 hours. So when you're talking about RPGs, you had a bunch of franchises that had really shitty entries in them, and then they said, oh, well, people just don't want to play this anymore. Oh, people don't want to play Zelda games with these long, drawn-out dungeons anymore. No, they just hated the last couple Zelda entries because they were shit. Like, they're like, oh, people just don't want to play Breath of Fire games anymore. No, Breath of Fire 4, Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter sucked balls. Like, you know, like that's why they sold poorly, because they were shit. Not because people don't want to play them, or play games like them. They just don't want they just don't want a shitty game. You know, if you put out a good product, people will go for it. You know, it's not that the market for them is shrinking. It's that the market for shitty games is always going to be tiny. You know, if you make a good product, then people are going to go for it. You know, like obviously Pokemon still sells really well all the time, and you know, so you can't say, oh, nobody's interested in playing JRPGs anymore, because Pokemon is one of the best-selling game franchises of all time, and it's been a JRPG like the entire time, except for a couple side games. You know,
I don't disagree with you on any of your points.
Right.
I'm simply stating
no,
that
I get
corporate
it.
corporate jackasses will look at numbers and get the wrong idea because they don't have their mind in they don't understand the zeitgeist of the actual players.
Right. And
which is why every gaming company needs a Satoru Iwata type.
Every gaming company needs to frickin' look at the frickin' internet and see what people are saying about their games and why they're not playing them, and then fix the damn problems. You know? They need to watch videos like mine about their games where somebody's actually willing to bitch about them, that's not being paid to review it, and learn what the problems are with their games and do better on them the next time. When you take feedback like that, you are bound to create a good product. You know?
Yep.
Like, when you sit there and you look at what people like about the game and what they hate about it, and you give them more of what they like and less of what they hate, it's going to pay off for you in the long run. You know, you might not get the best game in the universe the first time, but if you keep doing that, eventually your games are just going to become the most sought-after things on the market, no matter what genre they're in. You know, because you're putting the time and effort into it. You know, and no game is for everybody. You know, there's not going to be like one game that like everybody and their dog absolutely loves to play, but there's going to be plenty of games that a lot of people will at least try. You know. You know, like,
the way I see it, the Japanese developers saw the success of games like Skyrim, Oblivion, The Witcher, and other games that are considered huge RPGs here in America. They're American-style RPGs where it's action RPGs largely, and you know, it's like with Final Fantasy Versus 13, the former spin-off got turned into the canonical Final Fantasy 15, which plays so much more like an action RPG, and it sold gangbusters. They said, okay, this is the kind of RPGs that Americans like, and this is what's going to make us a lot of money.
Right.
So they took that giant swing, and, you know, Square was apparently on the verge of bankruptcy from what I hear, and that decision to turn Final Fantasy 15 into an action RPG franchise and leave its menu-driven, turn-based origins in the past was the decision that saved them, and that's the biggest reason why they turned Final Fantasy VII Remake into an action RPG, because they saw the numbers and they made the decision accordingly. I disagree with that.
Right.
I disagree with that completely.
Right.
Completely. Because it's like when they tried to turn Guilty Gear into a weird Muso strategy RPG hybrid that had a one-on-one fighting mode that wasn't worth your time.
Right.
Yeah. That was due to corporate stupidity on a different level.
Right. But yeah, I really do think that
I feel for you. I really do.
They, like I said, and again, it's if they would just sit there and make actual Final Fantasy games. Like, you know, they had that mobile game that looked really exciting, because like I was like, oh hey, it's a mobile game that plays kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics. This is gonna be awesome. And then like it was like unplayable. Like it was.
Which one was it? Brave Exodus?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Like it's.
I never got a chance to try it.
I downloaded it and I started trying to play it. Operative word trying, And I got to do maybe 1 or 2 battles in like 3 hours. Because there's like a ton of story, and every time they're about to do a cutscene, they have to load that cutscene, and that takes like 5 minutes, you know? And at the beginning of the game, there's a ton of cutscenes. So, like, it takes like 30 minutes just to get to the point where you can actually play the damn thing.
Dominating.
And then when you finally do get to do the battle, they're like, oh, push this, push this, push this. Okay, now the game's gonna play it for you. You know? It's like, you know... And it's nice to have an auto battle feature in a game, you know, but when that's literally the entire game, it's like, why am I even gonna play this, you know? Like, it's like, oh, you're obviously too dumb to play this yourself, so here you go. We'll just play it for you, you know. But yeah,
I mean,
irritating.
The more I think about it, the more I would, I'm sorry to say this, the more I would side with the decision to turn the Final Fantasy franchise into an action RPG, simply because of the fact that, you know, most of us who played Final Fantasy VII back in the day, we don't have dozens of hours of time to spend on a game.
Yeah, I get that the people who played it as teenagers don't have that kind of time anymore, but the thing is, the people that played Final Fantasy VII, most of them, you know, I think a lot of them were not people that typically played RPGs. They played it because they were cashing in on hype and all this other stuff. So the thing is, if you build a quality product, it doesn't necessarily matter what genre it is, gamers will go for it. You know? Like, and Final Fantasy VII was like the culmination of years of trying out different mechanics in Final Fantasy games, and then sort of combining the best ones, you know? So... you know. I mean, the thing that most people found to nitpick about with Final Fantasy VII was the way it looked, and that's all people wanted was for to do a remake that looked good, and they fucked it up. You know, if they had come out with a remake that looked good, and it was on a system, you know, I would have bought a copy. You know, like. Finally,
Shut
God. Alright. Good job. That was the best play.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that with Pokemon selling as well as it does still, and with the latest Dragon Quest getting a deluxe re-release across all platforms, and so forth, that there is still a solid base for turn-based console RPGs.
Player 3 wins.
But
I think the big problem with console RPGs, and JRPGs in general, was that around the time Final Fantasy VII came out, and people saw how well that did, the market kind of got flooded, and it got flooded with a lot of shitty ones. You know,
right.
So
well,
again,
the point I'm trying to make that with my industry insights. I honestly don't think that if they'd made Final Fantasy VII Remake as a turn-based, classic menu-driven RPG again, with not even the option of an action mode, it would probably not be selling as well as it is.
I think they could have done an optional action mode and been fine, but not having the option to go back to the original ATB system, I think it's a huge mistake. And, you know, because that's all I wanted. I just wanted the original game, but better looking. I didn't want, you know, Midgar to take 50 hours You know, like that's like taking Death Note and being like, oh, we're gonna remake it, but put like 100 episodes of filler in it. It's it's like it was fine as it was. You didn't need extra crap in there. You know, like
they flesh out the characters a whole lot more in the remake. You get to know Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse a whole lot better.
And you know, I get
they fake out their deaths.
I get that they're freaking.
Then when you get to the point where you can smell Tetsuya Nomura's influence on this remake's revisioning of the whole story, you start getting a real Kingdom Hearts vibe out of it.
Yeah,
and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So it's like, are they gonna stress this remake into multiple mobile games and games on 3DS and junk like that?
That's
or whatever.
It's going to take them so long to finish that they're not going to be able to get it all on one console until they've got the whole thing done, and then they'll come out with a remake of the remake. That's a remastered HD 4K edition on the PlayStation 8 or whatever the fuck they're up to by then. You know, like.
Yeah, it's going to be one giant cash cow.
It's a massive clusterfuck, and
we'll just have to wait to see how Part 2 does to really get the litmus test.
Right.
Because from what I hear, it's still selling solidly well.
Well, I think there will be plenty of people who played the original game that were disappointed with it, but there'll also be the people who were the crossover fans that like the changes. But personally, I don't look forward to playing the game in its current form. I think if they went ahead and just take all the assets and resources that they created and just do a regular fucking remake, at the end of everything, then I'll buy that. And if they actually do manage to complete all the parts and they come out with like a complete edition at some point, then maybe I'll buy that too. But I'm not going in on the whole multi-part video game series only to get burned when Part 2 doesn't sell well and they go, oh, we're gonna stop. You don't want to have a Half-Life 2
Half-Life 3 situation.
I don't want to have a Golden Sun situation. I don't want to have a the multi-part video game series does not work unless you develop all of them at the same time so that you can release them relatively quickly. Like
Telltale.
Like .hack. When .hack did a 4-part video game, they did theirs in fairly rapid succession as video games go, so that they could, really make sure, like, they were all on the same freaking console. They weren't, like, spaced out by 3 years at a time or whatever. Like, they were developed concurrently, and they were just put out in different parts because, there was a lot of cutscenes and whatnot. They really could have just put it out as, like, a 4-disc game, but, but money.
Yeah, them DVDs weren't cheap to print on.
Well, it's not just that. It's they had a lot of production value in those FMVs and whatnot. They wanted to get their money out of it.
Didn't each one of them have a full-on anime DVD?
Pretty much, yeah. Like they all had like an OVA episode packed in with it. As if I remember correctly. I know the first one did, but like, yeah, crazy. Like just.
I tried to get into it, but
honestly,
me and RPGs, I try real hard. Seriously, I've tried so hard it hurts. Last summer, after I got my PS3, re-downloaded all my games, tried to get into Final Fantasy IX, my favorite in the freaking series.
Yeah.
I burnt myself out right after disc 1.
Yeah. And it's understandable.
I just can't do it anymore, and
right.
If I wasn't broke as heck, I would wager that that's how most people who grew up in the heyday of 7 would feel right now about the prospect of even playing a remake of their favorite game.
Here's
that
the thing.
Same form nowadays.
Those types of games are better the first time around. Like a good RPG regardless, like, you know, I won't say regardless of how tedious it is, because there are some that are just so tedious that you're just like, no. But a good RPG can grip you with the story and keep you playing for hours on end to get through the next part of the story. You know, so that's I think the strength of the genre, and why when you have a bad plot, you know, you can really screw up a game that would otherwise be a decent game. And then, but you know, by the same token, if you have a decent plot but bad game mechanics, that's going to cost you as well. A lot of people did not like Final Fantasy VIII's game mechanics, even though the plot was compelling.
Well, the thing is, I loved 9 and its story and its some more simplistic mechanics. It's just that it's just a me thing, I guess. It's
well, and again, it's more compelling the first time through. You played the game before, and you were coming back to it later, and so it's, you know, you don't feel as compelled to finish it as you do the first time through. The first time through, you're like, oh man, I'm getting kind of bored grinding, but I got to get through this to get this and to get to the next part of the story. But with when you're playing it the second or third time through, it's like, I can put this down. I've already played through it. I know what's going to happen. You don't have that sense of urgency. You don't have that reward waiting for you of new story content, you know. So yeah.
Oh, no, in my case, I really wanted to play through it again and experience the story again, because it'd been like 20-something years since I'd played.
Right.
But it's just the throes of the genre and all of its other facets that, you know, I'd put in almost 40 hours before I got through disc 1.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, I've spent all this time into it. I'm only this far.
Yeah.
I want to play something else for a while.
You see, back in the day when I would shop for RPGs, I would get mad if a game was short. Like, you know, when I would shop for games, I was looking for something that was going to keep me busy for a while, you know, because as a teenager, you don't have that much money to just throw around. You know, you can't be dropping $60 every week on a new game. So, you know, a game's got to last you for a while, you know. So back in the day, you know, I would look for games that were longer, you know. I remember one time playing through Vandal Hearts at a friend's house, and then I saw Vandal Hearts like sitting in the bargain bin for $15, and I'm like, oh, that's $1 an hour, you know, you know, because it's really not that robust of a game.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember you telling me and saying, oh, I saw the game for $15 called Vandal Hearts.
Yeah,
and I used to have this system where, you know, this system in my head where, since, you know, minimum wage is like $5 an hour, it's like, okay, for every $5, I want to get an hour of entertainment.
Yeah.
And you say, well, that'll give you about 3 hours of entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those, you know, when you have, you know, such a limited amount of money, you don't necessarily want to be just blowing it on a game that you're going to play for 5 hours and get bored with, you know, which to me is a lot of the fighting games and whatnot from back in the day. I think the brawler fighters are much more interesting. I mean, I get that there are people that love to play the old you know, 2D fighters where, you know, just you versus the other guy, and, you know, and you could whip out your 100-hit combo and furiously masturbate while your opponent helplessly gets beat on. But, you know, like, it's, you know, and there's a charm to those types of games, don't get me wrong. There's skill and finesse involved in playing them. I'm not saying that anybody who's into those types of games is wrong or weird. I'm just saying that for me, you know, once I've played through the game with a few of the characters that I like and gotten to their end cutscenes and whatnot, that, you know, for most of the time, it's like, okay, I'm done. I've done what there is to do in this game. You know, like, you know, I'm not the type of person who's gonna sit there and play against people on the internet for 8 hours a day, you know, trying to get better. at a game that I've already beaten. You know, like
Yeah, I hear you.
You know.
I guess that's like your version of me with RPGs.
Yeah,
Try as I might, after a while, I just feel like I'm filing someone's taxes.
it's just a different mindset. And I get that sometimes the menu RPGs and trust me, there are plenty of JRPGs and menu style RPGs that are really redundant and boring. Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter comes to mind.
That one was an abomination.
That was such a bad idea, and
the recent mobile one was even canceled.
Breath
of Fire 6.
Yeah, Breath of Fire 6 was out in Japan for I think a little less than a year before going belly up, and they never released it over here.
Even in Japan they hated it.
Yeah, and
so if Dragon Quarter killed the franchise, the mobile game just killed any hopes of it having a true revival.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Ghosts and Goblins is getting its millionth redux.
Right.
Go figure.
I think Breath of Fire had a lot of potential as a franchise. I think there are a lot of games that really undersell the impact and value of having a transforming protag. Like in the RPG genre, especially, like Pokemon nails it really well. But like Wild Arms 2, that game was one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and it's because your protag like has there's a mechanic where your protag turns into like this badass demon armor guy, like it's really freaking cool.
Did you ever play through Legend of Dragoon?
Legend of Dragoon, yes, yeah, I played through that. It was not a favorite of mine. I didn't mind Mario RPG having the timed hits thing because it was kind of optional. You didn't have to hit it every time. But Legend of Dragoon just grated on my last damn nerve because everything was timing based, and if you didn't hit the timing, you didn't hit the attack. Like,
Ooh.
And
then
that,
you might not like Mario and Luigi as much as I thought you would.
Yeah, like it's if I like RPGs because they're all strategy and no skill, and when you start to take the strategy, when you start to focus more on skill than strategy, to me it stops being my type of game as much.
Didn't Lost Odyssey have something like that?
Lost Odyssey had a similar system, but Lost Odyssey is really fun and has a deep story. And like
just bring it's not a Kleenex with you.
It's not 100% skill based either. Like it's closer to the Mario RPG thing where it's like, oh, you get like extra damage if you do it, but it's not like vital. So yeah, it's I don't know. I might be misremembering, but I don't remember having as big of a problem with Lost Odyssey as I did with some other similar games. And I do want to play Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon on the channel because I think those games a lot of people have no idea what they are. They slipped under so many people's radars because they were not marketed well. So
yeah, Microsoft's so-called game studios, their chief whatever officer of marketing, they did not know what they were doing. It's like, we got these exclusive studios and they're pumping out games, but unless it's like Halo or Forza, they don't get any publicity.
Like, I was so hyped for Blue Dragon before that came out. I was like, okay, so you literally have like the guys that put together Chrono Trigger making a new game on the Xbox, and nobody in the US knows about this. Why? Like,
because that wasn't their target demographic.
I mean,
I know that was the killer app for you for that machine.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I really feel like
I've got so many stones I want to throw at Microsoft for how they've affected the game industry and how they got in everything. I mean, I dislike them so much that if I had to pick one of the big three to no longer exist, it would definitely be Microsoft.
Just Thanos snapped them out of existence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even though that would mean that, you know, my favorite fighting game revival of Killer Instinct would never have happened.
Right. I mean, for me, I think Sony would like. I wouldn't retcon Sony out of existence completely. I still like a lot of stuff from the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, but I think the current Sony can. I would Thanos snap them right away.
So I wish both of them would go. More so,
like
Sony than Microsoft.
It's
I
not
don't hate Microsoft as much as I hate Sony. I love Microsoft.
It's not good for one console to feel like they have a monopoly because, like you were saying, they get complacent and they feel like they can just coast on fumes and they don't have to put out any effort.
Which is exactly what Sony did during the whole PlayStation 4.
Right. So I think it's good to have a healthy competition between multiple, at least two gaming consoles.
No, duopolies don't do us any good because that's what we basically had. We had like a false duopoly with the PS4 versus Xbox One, and Nintendo just shooting themselves in the foot with the Wii U.
We had Nintendo and Sega, and that forced Sega to keep innovating.
There was Neo Geo. There's Neo Geo. There was NEC.
Right, but Neo Geo I don't think was ever a real player in the home console market at the prices that they were charging. Like they were basically there was basically a very select group of people. It was not a mass market type thing that they were doing.
Right. You also had NEC with the TurboGrafx.
The TurboGrafx 16, like I know there were games on it. I've seen multiple games on it, but it just seemed like I never saw them anywhere. Like they were they seemed, I think I've literally played like 2 or 3 different TurboGrafx 16s in my lifetime, at friends' houses and whatnot. Like and other than that, I've never really seen any. So, I don't know.
The thing is, we functioned best when there was at least 3 in the industry, even if the 3rd one is a joke.
Right.
Even if the 4th one is a joke. Because it keeps everybody on their toes. But the thing is, the way that Microsoft and Sony operate, it's just like... It's like they have identical mindsets, almost.
Yeah, they really do have very similar mindsets, and their mindset is usually, look at what Nintendo's doing, copy anything that's good, and then, and then
now it just seems like all Microsoft wants to do is fulfill that joke I made 20 years ago when I heard that they were going to make a console.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Microsoft wants to make a console. Oh, they'll just buy the freaking industry. 20 years later, look at all the studios they've bought.
Yeah. But I mean, they're doing the thing with Microsoft is at least they have the presence of mind to say, hey, these people have some talent, we should employ them. And Nintendo has done that a lot too recently, where they've been picking up some of the smaller studios that really had a lot of potential and really started doing stuff with it. Microsoft, on the other hand, has been picking up these little studios and then basically running them into the ground.
Yep.
Well,
Sony's been dissolving and running a few into the ground themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to say which one has the lead in the number of defunct or about to be defunct studios, because with Sony it seems to have been slower burns. With Microsoft, it's like massive fizzle outs.
Right.
Honestly, I'd have to flip a coin to decide between the two. Now, I do think it's kind of interesting that Nintendo over the years has very slowly and gradually picked up certain companies. Like,
right.
I remember, Retro Studios, I think they bought them or became a controlling interest in them just before Metroid Prime, and they're still in good graces with them.
Right.
But they just bought Next Level Games, and this is the company that had them do some of their sports titles. Now, if there was a company I wish Nintendo would have bought outright, it would be Treasure.
Yeah.
So that we could get a Guardian Heroes HD on the Switch.
Right. But yeah,
Then again, right now I wish they'd put it on PS4 instead.
Yeah. But again, I really think that Nintendo has, because Nintendo has so much more experience in the video game industry than Sony and Microsoft. I think that Nintendo is really just kind of running circles around them. Sony and Microsoft eventually are going to get to the point, and they're kind of almost there now, but they're going to get to the point where they're literally going, well, my photorealism is better than your photorealism, and they're gonna, because they've been so hung up on graphics, that a lot of the time they don't consider how it's going to affect how these games play or how difficult it is to program for them,
Actually, the bigger focus lately is on performance.
And that's good.
When you get to the point where the graphics are so ridiculous that you have nothing else to to have metrics to have any kind of metrics for, you have to work on performance.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why Microsoft poured as much extra money into the development of the Series X as they did.
Yeah.
Because there's like, you know what? We've got the money. We can put in all the power we want into this thing.
Yeah. Well, and again,
crapped the bed last generation, and Sony just took the ball and ran.
Right.
And don't think for a minute that Sony didn't have the exact same kind of draconian DRM that Xbox One was going to have.
Yeah, no, they walked their plan back when they heard about it. When they heard about Microsoft, they're like, oh, well, we can come in and get it. But yeah, like,
they let Microsoft get all the heat, and then they said, you know what? Let's not do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like they But yeah, they would do it in a heartbeat if they thought they could get away with it, But they know that.
Yeah, give it another. Yeah, go ahead and give it another generation or two.
Right. Well,
stuff like that'll be the norm.
Yeah, and that's why I keep resisting the urge to go digital. I mean, aside from the fact that it doesn't really it ends up costing you more money in the long run because you have to buy additional storage. To go to do the digital thing, but because basically when you factor in the fact that you have to pay for the game and then pay for the storage, you're not really doing yourself any favors when it comes to price. So
unless of course you're waiting for your digital game sales.
Right, even if you wait for the sales, though, you're still gonna end up having to, if you get as robust a library as the type of libraries I tend to build for my consoles, you're gonna be buying a lot of extra storage,
oh yeah.
I mean, it might not be as big of a deal for us, like some of these, terabyte plus hard drives that some of these new systems come with, but like on something like the Switch, for example. Which does not have a very robust internal memory.
What is it, like 32 gig?
It's not tremendous, So it's a thing where I really hesitate to buy any like massive games on it because, for example, Disgaea. I decided that since I just got paid from YouTube, I would splurge and get myself Disgaea 4 Complete Plus and Disgaea 5 Complete, so that I'd have them before Disgaea 6 comes out this summer.
Hey, YouTube finally paid you. That's good.
Finally, they deposited a little over $250 into my account a little earlier in the month. But yeah, so I finally got paid for the first time. So that gives me some incentive to work on memberships, because I was I had been sandbagging on doing memberships because I was like, well, if they're not going to pay me anyway, then but now that I'm actually getting paid, I have an incentive. But anyway, so anyway, So I went ahead and got those, but but the thing is, I made sure to I had my sister order physical copies for me because I didn't want to get digital copies because I didn't because number one I'd probably have to get additional storage to fit them, and number two because even though they had them both like on sale on digitally. And it would have cost me a little less to get the games. By the time I bought new storage, I'd pretty much break even. So, I'd rather have the physical copy.
Oh, when you're talking about the 1 terabyte systems, they don't tell you this on the box. Too. Oh yeah, it's not just the games.
And the firmware too, yeah.
The firmware and system use, you're gonna lose 150 to 175 gigs.
Yeah.
And the really sucky thing is, I bought that wonderful PS4 Pro, and it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. But the even though it'll say I've got like 50 or 60 gigs that I can technically use, it will act. Once I get to a certain point of like 38 or 48 gigs, every time a game has an update, it'll tell me that there's not enough room for me to even start a freaking game.
Yeah.
So it's always like, okay, gotta uninstall one of my disc games.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So out of a so-called one terabyte hard drive, you only get about 825 to 840 gigs to use.
Right.
3, 2, 1.
But yeah, and I really feel like, for the most part, Nintendo knows what they're doing. I'm not saying that the Nintendo Switch launch was perfect. There's still issues with Joy-Con drifting and shit like that. They really need to fix that shit before they put out a new version of the Switch. If the rumored Switch Pro thing is actually a thing, then the Joy-Cons for that better have fixed the drifting problem.
Yep.
Because if after all this time they still can't fix that issue, then come on,
Yeah. Oh, I was saving up for the rumored Switch Pro, but now it's relocation funds.
Right.
May not move till October at this point.
Yeah.
Unless something changes.
But
or
yeah.
it may not be till next October.
Right. But yeah, I think my next big goal, aside from getting my credit card debt paid down, is going to be to try and get myself a camera.
Face reveal.
Yeah, I've been saying that once I have the equipment to do proper face cam, that I'll do it.
Face reveal one of these days.
I don't recommend it.
Dominating.
Yeah, well, I don't know. PewDiePie just did a reverse face reveal.
Oh wow!
How the heck do you manage that?
He's decided to go no face cam on his videos. Like he got one of those crappy animated avatars,
Oh, VTuber now?
Yeah, he got one of those, and it like sucks really bad. Like he's like this thing sucks. Somebody make me a better one. But yeah, it's actually fucking hilarious. He's like, and when he was talking about why he was doing it, he's like, oh, look at Corpse, look how many people follow him and how fast his channel's growing, and look at look at Dream and look at how many people follow him and how fast he's growing. So he's like, yeah, it was so funny, like. But yeah, he did a video recently where he was talking about getting his DNA tested, like one of those DNA test kit places like 23andMe or whatever, or Ancestry. Anyway, so he recently got his DNA tested, and he was going over his results, and he's like, and they have this big thing. It says you have more DNA or more Neanderthal DNA than 10% of our customers, and he's like, why did they word it that way? Why doesn't it say you have less DNA than 90% of our customers? Like,
Did he like show a screenshot of the document?
Yes.
And it literally reads like
says,
that?
Yes, it says you have more Neanderthal DNA than 10% of our customers.
Well, I put 10 around my idiots, so...
Yeah, it is so funny. Like, but yeah, he's like, why do they word it that way? But yeah, his DNA profile is like, you're 100% Scandinavian. He's like, oh my gosh, what a shock. You know?
Wait, so
Player 3
is he 100% Scandinavian or is he 90% Neanderthal?
No,
I'm confused.
They said he has more Neanderthal DNA than 10% of their customers, not that he's 90% Neanderthal.
Oh,
okay. But yeah.
You see, I have a learning disability with numbers.
Respects, you can join. The room code is 742915. So go ahead and jump on in there. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah. Because, you know, Neanderthals, a lot of people think that they just went extinct, but they were basically bred out. They still live on in part of the human population, and it's mostly people of European descent. Honestly, like geographically, that's where the Neanderthals were, and so the people of European descent, about 5% of them have some sort of Neanderthal DNA, in their makeup. So,
Rest in peace. Me then.
Yeah. So, and again, it's that's what the theory is, because obviously they haven't studied everybody's DNA, but like from what they're getting, that they're guessing that it's about 5%.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't think I have any Neanderthal DNA. I don't even sound like a Neanderthal. I don't look like one. And I'm like 90% European. So
honestly, that may be where the white color pigmentation mutation came from.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be.
Because originally, our skin tones for early man would have been more black or brown.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the Romans and the Romans were the whitest people back then, and then there was whitest skin color, I guess. I don't know. It's weird how stuff works, but
oh god. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how much we can learn about DNA. How much we can learn about our history through DNA. Like when Felix was talking about his DNA test, it was talking about how, like, what percentage of likelihood his DNA shows that he would have certain features. It's like, you have this percentage likelihood of not having a bald spot, or this percentage likelihood of having back hair.
I don't need to use that website because I know my family, like my distant family, well enough to know my genetic makeup, and also know I'm not gonna go bald until I'm like 80. Even my like 80-year-old grandmother has a full head of hair, so I'm lucky. Unless I get really unlucky and go bald, even though no one else in my family has, then yeah. I still.
It's funny because he got to the part where it was talking about his percentage likelihood of having red hair, and it was 1%.
Your chance of having red hair.
What color is his hair?
He's blonde.
Oh.
And it's funny because they talked about one of the things in there was it said that his hair had a high probability of photo bleaching.
Oh.
And he's like, yeah, I used to get teased for dyeing my hair when I was a little kid, and it's like, oh, I'm not dyeing my hair. I was just in the sun a lot.
Did that happen? I mean, my hair changes color a lot. When I was younger, when I was like it was like blonde, but now it's like
like certain hair
brown
is
with
more
streaks of blonde in it, and sort of
to photo bleaching than others. So
yeah,
like, there a lot of blonde-haired people are more susceptible to photo bleaching, where they like if they have light or blonde hair to start with, it'll only get lighter if they're in the sun a lot.
Yeah, mine turned out blonde, but then it turned sort of brown, but it still has like streaks of blonde in it. It's a weird. I kind of want to see what the reason is for that.
Yeah.
So I got kind of a funny story about going bald.
Oh no.
This goes back to middle school, wherein every single middle school that I went to, they had this annual retentive policy against wearing hats. So, the minute I got to, I think it was 9th grade, and you were able to wear hats, I would never not wear a hat until as of recently as 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I decided, you know what? I want to start wearing my hair out.
Yeah.
So I'm over that. And no sooner do I start styling my hair do I realize my hair's thinning out, and I got a nice bald spot.
Nah.
Oh no.
So, to this day, I still curse all those principals of those middle schools. I think it was even the first high school I was at. I think it was my sophomore year, in fact, that I was able to wear hats again. It's like, I basically missed the glory days of having hair because of the complex those freaking middle schools and that high school did to me.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time, I shave my freaking head. I don't care anymore. It's like, screw it.
Yeah, last year was the last time I'll ever shave my hair. I just figured, yeah, I look better with long hair, so I'm just growing it back out again. Plus the hair, I actually was dyeing my hair black to be edgy, I guess. I don't know, and the hair that I was using was cheap, and it messed up my hair, so I kind of had to shave it, which sucks, but whatever. I'm just gonna keep it brown. Blondish brown, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man.
Full car.
So I had my adoptive sister over Sunday. We watched Wonder Woman 84 and Hobbs and Shaw.
Alright.
Oh, funny, I watched the second one you said. I watched that like 2 days ago or something.
Yeah, she told me when we were watching that movie, you know, Blaine Johnson's in it, Ryan Reynolds is in it, and told her how I got HBO Max just for that 1 month to try it out, and I watched the first 2 Fast and the Furious movies, and I liked them, and I was expecting that they would have all the rest of them, but no, they didn't.
Big actor, and big actor. Also, Hobbs and Shaw I really wish was rated R because, for one, Ryan Reynolds was in it, so he was censored early, and 2, there were a lot of scenes in that movie that I think could have looked a lot cooler. One thing I really didn't get is how there was like no blood in the movie whatsoever, even with all the gun scenes, and even though it's rated PG-13, I've seen plenty of PG-13 movies where, and I felt it was a very light PG-13, but it's strange because at the end of the movie there was a post-credit scene that actually had some blood in it, which was weird, but I don't know.
Well, the reason I brought it up is this is for Hunger's benefit. She told me that the rumor was going around that they're going to have John Cena in the 9th Fast and Furious movie.
Man, if they think The Rock doesn't get along with with some of these other people,
Vin Diesel.
Yeah, you know what happens when they put The Rock and John Cena on set together? The Rock
like-
spent like 2 years talking about how John Cena had a vagina and like all this other shit.
You're sure that's not just kayfabe for
I mean,
the?
most of it
for the
probably
ring.
is, but you know, they took
Besides,
some
he
digs at each other. You know?
Most
I refuse to call Dwayne Johnson The Rock anymore because he just stopped.
He stopped
He
being
forgot
The Rock,
how
yeah.
to. He forgot how to be The Rock.
yeah, he's just a big Hollywood actor who doesn't even seem like a wrestler anymore.
He needs to come to Jesus' meeting with James Earl Jones. You have forgotten who you are, and therefore have forgotten me. You know.
I like the one part of the movie though where he's like, that one British guy or whatever makes The Rock's fake passport Mike Hawksmall. So
Oh no.
this is him.
It's amazing.
He's like, his name is Mike Hawksmall, and he just gets pissed off. And, yeah,
I go by Michael.
yeah, by Michael.
Oh man. But yeah.
Like,
So yeah, Hunger. I know
But
you're.
yes,
I know you're not a
respect,
big
we were
fan
talking
of.
about hair colors earlier.
I know you're not a big fan of Fast and the Furious movies, but Hobbs and Shaw is a fantastic spin-off movie.
it wasn't bad. As bad as I thought it'd be when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I'm
thing
not
is,
going to say it was an amazing movie, but
yeah, I had no idea Ryan Reynolds was in it. So
man.
seeing him pop up in the early part, I'm like, oh my gosh! It's a nice little treat.
when I saw Ryan Reynolds, I just chuckled.
The thing is, Ryan Reynolds is one of those guys where you see him in a movie, and you just know he's going to be the exact same kind of humor and the exact same kind of character every single time. The type of actor and the type of performance where you accuse them of just playing themselves in every single movie.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I get that. It's like, I loved Robin Williams for that.
Uh-huh.
But with Ryan Reynolds, it's like, when they cast him as Pikachu in Detective Pikachu,
Uh-huh.
it's like Diet Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was even same for because you said for this movie. This is also kid-friendly Deadpool because, again, the thing it's not a bad movie, but Hobbs and Shaw, I honestly think could have gotten away with a PG rating too. Because for one, the movie had virtually no blood until the end of the movie. There was one scene that I'm not going to spoil, but there's parts where people get blown up, they get shot by a sawed-off point blank, which in reality would like explode their head or something, but no, we just get Legend of Zelda style fighting, which, yeah, the movie could have gotten a PG rating, but it's still a good movie. I recommend watching it, even though, because I myself don't like Fast and the Furious, so.
Yeah, the thing is, I forgot that it was a
what the
Fast and
heck?
Furious movie
Hold on,
until they had
Discord's messing
they
up.
had this.
Can't hear anyone.
Hello, testing.
Yeah. It's Aquan's Discord messing up.
There we go.
Oh, I thought-
What?
All right, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Alrighty, good.
Discord,
So,
now from Verizon.
So I'm watching the movie, and they're gearing up for the huge staple of the Fast and the Furious franchise, which is, of course, the improbable vehicular stunts.
Right.
Mhm.
The one where they're on the ridge and they're daisy chaining the cars together, and it's getting all crazy with the helicopter. And I still, at this point, I have practically forgotten that it's a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah.
Until they do the one thing that tells you you are watching a Fast and the Furious movie. You know what that is?
What?
It's when they do that CG sequence where someone hits the nitrous, and they do the CG thing where you've got the nitrous going from the canister to the tubes to the engines.
Yeah.
And it gets all shaky cam, and it's like, oh right, this is the Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah, before then it didn't really seem
I
like one.
almost
It seemed more
forgot.
like an action movie, if anything.
Yeah. So yeah, Hunger, if you get a chance to see Hobbs and Shaw, I know you're a big fan of Dwayne Johnson. You won't feel sorry for having watched it.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
missing nothing from having not watched any of the previous movies.
And hilariously enough,
It's just another great action.
another
movie.
thing that's
Just
a
look at it
big
like
coincidence about that movie's name is another thing that's a coincidence about that movie's name is two of my cousins both have the same last name of both the characters. I have a cousin whose last name is Hobbs, and I have another cousin whose last name is Shaw. It's spelled the same, by the way. I guess it's a pretty common name in the U.S.
I mean,
so.
you know, I liked Hobbs better when he was paired with Calvin, but I guess, you know. It's
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Alright, anyway.
So how long are you going to be streaming Brawlhalla for? I might open the game back up and join back in.
I think I will probably go until I level up.
Alright, so not much more.
I've been playing Volkov like pretty much the whole stream because I just unlocked this black color palette, but I'm almost to level 30 with him, so I think I kind of want to keep going until I get there.
Yeah.
So I figure that's probably
So you're
pretty
close to
reasonable.
leveling up, or?
Relatively. I don't think I'll level up like after this match or anything, but.
Oh, you're just saying, 'cause I might join in for a few more games, so I was wondering
Oh,
how
God!
much time it would take.
Oh. But yeah. Just,
Another reason I really enjoyed that movie is because with all the spy type stuff going on, it reminded me of the canceled Spy Hunter movie that Johnson was going to be in.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a nice substitute. Now he did play the main character in a third PlayStation 2 Spy Hunter game, which I never got a chance to play. But the thing is, you make a game, you make a third iteration of a game where you're supposed to be driving a super spy car the whole time, and you break that up with playing as Dwayne Johnson, essentially. Not exactly a great move.
Yeah. Oh no!
So the code is like 5-4
Shut down.
Am I gonna eke out a win tonight?
something, right?
Maybe. Oh,
5, 4,
you're,
1.
you're in yellow over there. That's pissing yourself range. Oh.
What's the code again? 549 or
742915.
okay, thank you.
Oh.
But yeah, I figured we'd make it 7. Oh, I typed it in wrong. Okay, my bad.
Ah! Oh,
Bloody
there we go.
hell.
There we go.
Player 3.
Yeah, I had a
GG respects.
feeling there was going to be a sequel because of.
Oh, so close. Alright.
Yeah, I had a feeling there. I had a feeling there would be a sequel because of the post-credit scene. There were like a lot of post-credit scenes. By the way, I'm not going to spoil anything. But there were like 5 post-credit scenes in that movie. Yeah.
Which one?
Hobbs and Shaw. I had like a post-credit scenes that played during the credits, and then like
If they're during the credits, so they're not post
3
credits.
more post-credit scenes.
For
Yeah, the one-
post credit.
Yeah,
Yeah, there were-
post credits are. I mean, it literally means after the credits.
Oh yeah, like after the text completely finishes scrolling, there was one, but there were like 4 mid-credit scenes, 3 or 4 mid-credit scenes, which is a lot. I've never seen that in a movie before.
I've seen a few that did that, where where like the credits start playing, and then there's another scene, and then they keep playing, and then there's another scene. Yeah,
Monster House did that.
I've seen a few movies that did that, but yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I've seen Monster House do it. It's classic. But yeah, this movie had a lot. Like, 'cause there were a bunch of different scenes playing during the credits, like, and the stylized credits, and then there was just the black and white credits that had a few scenes, and then there was one post-credit scene. I think I recalled seeing like 6 or so. I watched it on HBO Max, so
Like,
my kind of
you know what one of my biggest pet peeves going to see Marvel movies in theaters is?
the post credits.
No, it's not that. It's when the credits start playing and the people start getting up
Oh yeah,
and walking
like,
out of the theater. I'm like, have you never been to an MCU movie before? Sit the fuck back down! What are you doing?
You know which movie of all movies started the post-credits trend, and you won't believe me? You must have
Ferris Bueller.
I was about to say that. I was about to say Shrek. Shrek, the first Shrek movie, I believe, was like one of the first ever movies to have a post-credits scene that sets up the second movie.
I mean, there's been plenty of movies that have had stinger scenes.
True, but I mean, Shrek
some
is
of them more
mainstream.
memorable than others, but you know, I
Yeah,
remember
Shrek is from like 2001 or 2002.
Godzilla 2000 had a stinger scene where the egg hatches at the end. Like it's like,
yeah, I remember that. I remember that scene. Yeah.
Like
it's not an MCU thing. That's what I like to say.
Right.
It's
not the
all
MCU that
over.
developed it, but the MCU does it famously. Like they do it in every movie they do. So it's like, why the hell are you not staying and watching the whole fucking movie?
I think the only movie that didn't have post-credits was Endgame, right?
Actually, there's two that didn't have real end credit scenes. The MCU's Hulk by Universal, the scene that was going to be an end credit scene, they just put it right before the credits.
Yeah.
It's the one where where the general is drinking his sorrows away, and Tony Stark pops up.
Yeah.
That's right before the credits. And then, of course, Endgame, all you hear is Tony Stark clanking away the echoes of the Iron Man's suit.
Yeah, the hammer, the hammer,
Yeah.
the hammer striking steel, like the forging thing, which was a very strong connection to Iron Man, especially if you've seen some of the other continuities, like, like the original suit he has to come up with in like a cave. What is that? Oh. He's playing I was like, what is that sound? It's like, oh, he's playing the guitar. Alright. But yeah, it's something that you typically see in Marvel movies, so it's like, why the heck would you just get up and leave it's like, you don't know? Like,
I want to speak about bad Marvel movies. There's that one Hulk movie from like 2004 or whatever.
Oh, the Ang Lee Hulk.
Yeah, I hated that. There were way too much screen transitions in that movie, and they were done. They looked like they were straight out of Movie Maker.
No, here's the thing on that. Like, a lot of people had issues with that. I didn't have issues with it because I understood what he was going for creatively. He wanted it to look like a comic book. Like, the reason that there were all those frames where he had like 3 and 4 different screens going on at the same time is because he wanted it to look like the paneling on a page of a comic.
I guess.
So that was his vision for the movie. A lot of people found it distracting, and they thought the CG was shit and all this other crap. But I really
that early aughts CG.
I didn't mind the CG.
I really didn't mind the CG either.
I
thought it was fine,
but I just didn't like the transition.
I know that a lot of the visual files out there were like, "Oh my god, the CG's ass," and it's like, okay,
Hey man, it's like 2004.
Yeah.
It's not like the best CGI ever.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that to me is one of the problems with CG. Like, unless you go all out on CG, it's probably going to look like shit. And if it doesn't look like shit at the time, it's probably going to look like shit to people who watch it down the road. It's not going to. They don't hold up as well as other media.
Personally, myself, I really don't like I personally don't like the high-tech, high-end CG that you see in all these movies today, because people will think, oh, it looks so good and feeling best because all the pretty colors. But if you look past that, a lot of modern CGI doesn't look any better than CG of the past. It's just pretty colors, sure, but
I do think like there have been some massive advances in computer technology, and we're able to do some very lifelike things with CG if they're willing to put in the effort for it.
Yeah,
like there are some really amazing CG effects in a lot of these movies, and I think a lot of the movies that are coming out today that heavily rely on CG that are not like done like on a budget are going to hold up really well. But if you
but
go
again-
back and look at some of the earlier CG movies, like stuff like Toy Story, for example. If you look at Toy Story 1 now, it looks like absolute dog ass. Like, you know, back in the day, it was considered eye-popping and innovative, and honestly, using, like, having most of the characters in the movie be toys was smart, because you don't have to, it allows you to get away with not having some of the more realistic shit, but you still had human characters like Sid in the movie, and they look like fucking shit.
Terrifying, yeah. I thought it looked crap when I was a kid.
Yeah,
when
like,
it came out.
but yeah, like, so.
Well, compare Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 3.
Exactly.
It's night and day.
Yeah, they've really, you can really tell that they've stepped their game up over the years. But again, you know, 20 years from now, will people still watch Toy Story 3 and still think it looks good? Maybe. But maybe not. You know, it just depends.
My thoughts on good CG though is it's like with video games. It's not always a good thing to have amazing CG, because especially with all these modern games that have like really good graphics, but they're just like Sony's point-and-click movie games, basically. Or a game that doesn't have a good story or good gameplay but has really good graphics does not be worthy to be called a video game. Same for a movie with really good CGI but not that good of a story.
Right. Well, and again, with a lot of the time when you're talking about CG, there are so many studios who are including CG in their movies just to have it in there so they can say that they had it. Without really thinking about, like, and a lot of the time they would really not have that much of a budget for it, and whatnot. If you look at Freddy vs. Jason, for example, that movie, if you go and look at the deleted scenes, almost all of it is bad CG.
Yeah.
Like, they literally cut the scenes because they had shitty CG, and I'm so glad they did. Like, most of those scenes, you watch them and they're like, oh yeah, I'm glad they cut this. There's like one or two scenes that you're like, oh, maybe they should have let this in. But most of them are just like, wow, this CG sucks. I'm glad it wasn't in the movie, because it would have sucked.
Yeah. Because Spider-Man 3 is one of those movies that had, for the most part, minus Venom, good CG. Like, his CG wasn't terrible, but for its time, it had really good CG, and like the stuff on Sandman holds up today, but it's a bad movie. So despite the CG being good,
but yeah,
that's my example is that CG doesn't always equal.
Right,
it's just eye candy at the end of the day.
And I mentioned about Disney earlier, where during the Eisner era they were just putting out shitty movie after shitty movie. Like, they had all these sequel. They did a sequel for almost every Disney movie that existed.
Oh, yeah, I hated that. I hated those.
Like, they were like, oh, Lady of the Tramp 2, Little Mermaid 2, Peter Pan 2, Cinderella 2,
Cinderella 3,
Cinderella 3. Like they just kept just shitting out these god-awful sequels, and a lot of them weren't even like theatrical releases. Like, the vast majority of them were straight-to-video titles, and then while they're doing that, they're also making crappy animated movies that nobody likes. And then
there was the Lion King remake, which was like...
Yeah, well, and again...
It was bad for a different reason, though. The reason it was bad was because they didn't show the expressions and everything like they showed the... Oh, what the heck was that?
Right, but again, so during that era, they were doing all these shitty movies, and nobody was watching them. So they're like, oh, we're losing all this money by making these shitty movies, and nobody's watching them. And they said, oh, people must not like 2D hand-drawn animation anymore. It's all about CGI now. So they're like, we got to do CG. So they started doing CG movies, and their CG movies were terrible. Except for the ones Pixar did for them. Like, all their CG movies sucked ass, and so they're like, and then they realized, oh, we're just making shitty movies. So they ended up buying Pixar, and now Disney movies are decent again. Like, I really like the post-Pixar purchase Disney era Disney movies, because not all of them are musicals anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because for such a long time, Disney was doing this thing where they turned everything into a musical, and the post Pixar era stuff, there's a lot of stuff that barely has any songs in it, or if they do have songs, it's not the characters singing them. You know, you had like Lilo and Stitch was a big one. You know, Lilo and Stitch came. You know, that movie. Not only did they not have any numbers where the characters sang at all, unless you count Lilo putting Stitch's finger on the record player and opening his mouth and Elvis's voice coming out, but but they didn't have like any musical numbers or anything like that. And there's actually a scene where Lilo punches another little girl in the face, you know, which is something that little kids actually do. So that really added that air of realism to it, which was very nice. But yeah, it's just
3, 2,
you know,
1, brawl.
like, and that was a movie that was, you know, a 2D, you know, non-CG movie. But like,
well, I think the reason why they started doing sequels to all of their classic movies is because they saw how well Return of Jafar did on video, and they say, "Oh, hey, there's a concept that works."
Right, but again, it doesn't work for everything. And
right.
With, you know,
and those corporate stupidity things.
Yeah, and again, Eisner did a lot of harm to Disney while he was at the helm, and he tried to make it impossible for them to fire him as well. So that they really had to step in and say, okay, we're cutting the strings on your golden parachute. You're not getting all this severance package shit that you keep giving yourself. You know, because he was literally trying to make it impossible to fire him by giving himself the biggest, poofiest, most expensive golden parachute of all time. You know, like, basically, if they had fired him with all that shit in place, he would have ended up owning like 40% of the company or some shit like that. You know.
And that's just obnoxious.
Yeah, it was super obnoxious. He was super greedy. It's good that they got him out of there, because he really was running the place into the ground.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of Wallace the Lucky Rabbit kind of organization he thought he was running.
Right. But yeah, it's better. It's better now. Disney has been buying out a lot of other properties and things, you know, because Disney's forte has never been really coming up with completely original stories. Pixar does really well at that, but Disney, not so much.
Not so much.
And
Pixar, not so much anymore. Their best creative minds have left.
Yeah, but
dominating.
Toy Story 4, they completely character assassinated Woody. They removed the brain from Buzz Lightyear. And it was like the third or fourth movie between Disney Studios and Pixar Studios in which the main theme was just moving on. It's like, really? Exact same theme this many times in a row?
Right.
My character's glitched. Freaking Super Saiyaning over here. What the heck's going on with that?
If there's anyone related to Disney right now that needs to be fired out of the canon into the side of Mount Rushmore, it would be Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
And her troll-in-chief, Leslie Headland.
Yeah, but I mean, there have been... What I was going to say is there have been some... There have been some great things that Disney has done recently. I think for the most part, they have been a decent custodian for the properties they picked up. Obviously, there are people who don't like some of what they've been doing with properties like the Muppets and Star Wars, but with the Muppets, I think what Disney has done with them has been infinitely better than what their previous owners have done with them. Like, one of the previous owners of the Muppets literally was a German company that just bought it to translate it into German. And they bought the rights to the entire kit and caboodle just to do a German translation. It's like, you know, you probably could have gotten somebody to just sell you the rights to do a German translation for cheaper. But, you know, whatever.
Oh, if that's
works.
the worst thing they did with it, I can't.
But no, like, the thing is, before
Can't
that...
get angry with them.
Before that, there was a company that did the Muppets from Space movie. And that is arguably the worst Muppets movie that's ever been produced. Like, good God, that was terrible. Like,
Yeah.
you know...
Gonzo's supposed to be unique, one of a kind, and then you,
then you
make
make a
him
whole
one
alien
of
race
a
of them.
kind.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Anyway, but yeah, like... So yeah, Muppets, I think, because they also had somebody do the Muppets Wizard of Oz, which I thought was entertaining, but it definitely didn't have the heart of a lot of the other Muppet movies. Okay, that's a thing that just happened.
Well, I do remember having watched the 2015 iteration of the Muppets about halfway through its run, and because I had just moved halfway through its run, I didn't get to see the other half. And it was a bit too mean-spirited. But the thing is, I watched the Nostalgia Critics Disney-cember episode last month, and he said that, you know, the whole thing is on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
And
Are
so
you talking
he
about
watched
the
through the
show
whole
that
thing.
they did with where it was like a faux reality show type thing? Where
It was kind of modeled after The Office, where it's a half documentary, half variety show where Miss Piggy is actually the star of the reality show. So yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And
like
he
Kermit
says
and Piggy
that
have broken up and they're like fighting like badly.
yes, and there's some pretty dark humor in it.
Yeah.
That it made me laugh my butt off, but I was like, man, this isn't the Muppets. This is too mean-spirited, and that's half the reason why I didn't bother trying to watch the second half of it.
Right.
But then I find out, according to this reviewer, he says that they did do a course correction halfway through, because even in the characters, they realized, look, this isn't us. This isn't the way that we're supposed to be.
Right.
But the thing is, they lost their audience with that first half.
Right. Yeah, I remember there was a talk show that had them on. I can't remember if it was Conan or Jimmy Kimmel, but there was a talk show that had Kermit and Miss Piggy on to promote that. And the talk show host said he felt uncomfortable afterwards because of how they were fighting during the interview. You know, because they were trying to
characters.
Yes, like Kermit and Miss Piggy were fighting during the interview, and he said it really felt uncomfortable. It felt genuinely uncomfortable. Like, but I was more referring not necessarily to the show. I really would have liked a Muppet Show reboot myself, but I was referring more to the movies that they did, Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. I thought those were both very well done.
I agree.
And I think that if they had kept along those lines, and also they did a bunch of YouTube videos. They have a Muppets YouTube channel, and they did a bunch of videos specifically for that. And they had some very nice content on that was very Muppet centric. I would love to see a Muppet Show reboot that had those types of sketches and songs on it. You know. So.
Phenomena.
Yeah, no, they did some really great stuff that again is very Muppets. They had some Swedish Chef Beaker, and you know, like they did a Bohemian Rhapsody cover. You know, and it's like it starts with the chickens and they're clucking out the bark, 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 bark. But anyway, they do they do this whole elaborate thing that features almost all the Muppets, and then at the end of it, Kermit's like, we have got to stop doing these meetings over Zoom. Nothing gets done. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, that type of thing. You know, like they were doing. Like it turns out that it's like all one big video conference call. You know, and there was one point where it like one part of the chorus was sung by a bunch of the more obscure characters, and like it's like, can anybody tell me if there is a part for me, you know, like, but yeah, it's just it was just so good, you know. And of course, true to form for Muppets, they censored some of the more you know, some of the less child-friendly lyrics when they got to the part where, you know, they're supposed to say "Mama just killed a man," you know, like that part. They got to that part and it's Animal, and he's like, "Mama, Mama, Mama, Mama," you know, it's just like it's just running around screaming "Mama" over and over again. It was fantastic. But yeah, but like they did a bunch of really great videos on their YouTube channel, and they, you know, and I really think that was a good thing to do with it. I wish they would be more consistent with it, because they still put stuff on the YouTube channel occasionally. It's just not very frequent, like for special occasions and holidays and whatnot, like they'll do.
The most recent Muppet-related thing I saw was during the Game Awards, where they had the Swedish Chef appear, and he's promoting some new mobile game. And I don't even remember if it was a Muppets mobile game or if it was like a Muppet skin for said mobile game.
Yeah, they have some Swedish Chef videos on YouTube as well. There's one where he makes pumpkin pie, and the pumpkins are trying not to get eaten. So they keep convincing him that he's doing it wrong, and that he needs different equipment. You know, but they're convincing him that the equipment he needs is stuff that they think is going to be hard to find. You know, they're like, "Oh, you don't want to use that knife. What you need is a battle axe." You know, and so he goes out and like. And he's like, "Ooh," okay. and the other pumpkin's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Relax, this ain't my first Halloween," you know. Like, you know, and then he comes back with the battle axe and is like, "Oh my gosh, he actually found one." You know, it's like now that I look at it, it's really kind of big and clumsy. You know, what you need is something more like a chainsaw, you know. "Oh, okay," you know. So he comes back with a chainsaw. It's like, well, man, now that I see the actual chainsaw, you know, they're like, "You need a bazooka." You know, he's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, that's right, a bazooka." You know, so he's like, "Oh, okay." You know, he comes back with a bazooka. Like, and they're like, "I did not see this coming." You know, so he ends up blasting them with a bazooka, and turning them into pumpkin pies, and he's like, "The pumpkin pie a la bazooki." You know, it's just like. But yeah, it's, you know, and that's so Swedish Chef. That's such a Swedish Chef thing to do. Like, you know, so in my opinion, they really nailed keeping the characters intact and everything. You know, whereas a lot of the other people who have been their custodians have been accused of having some Muppets that didn't sound right or you know, not portraying the characters very well. Why are we on random? Oh, man. Oh, no. It's Big Titan's End. I don't want to fight on Titan ass. All right.
Here's an example of one of the jokes I remember from the 2015 show that was probably too dark for the Muppets. He says, "You know, Kermit, you should be careful what you say to Piggy. You don't know what she might do to retaliate." He says, "Yeah, well, that's why I say a little prayer each time I start my car."
Oh man.
A car bomb joke from
Wow.
the Muppets. I'm just like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, like to me.
That's how mean-spirited it was.
Right. To me, I thought that Muppets Wizard of Oz. I definitely think is a better Muppets movie than Muppets from Space. I definitely see why people didn't like it, but I thought there were some great one-liners in it. There's a point where
No nostrils. How does he smell? Terrible. I'm his roommate.
yeah, but there's a point where right after they get to Oz, Pepe turns and looks at Pepe the King Prawn turns and looks at the camera and it says, "For those of you who have a copy of Dark Side of the Moon, press play now." You know, it's just.
I never bothered to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I
just
did
fun.
have the only similar thing I've ever done, and it was just by pure coincidence. I once had a copy of Stabbing Westward's Wither, Blister, Burn, and Peel, and I was playing Metroid Prime, and there's this one song, I forget what it's called, but it's got this really weird, tinny electronic melody in the background that repeats, and it kind of sounds like that melody where you're near the elevators in like classic Metroid. It goes dee doo dee doo, and just the melancholy feel of that song just matched up with where I was in Metroid Prime at that moment, and it was just surreal.
So did they change this stage?
What?
The middle platform is not moving.
No, this middle platform stays
No,
put in this stage.
It usually moves.
No,
Like this platform that I'm standing on, like it normally like moves back and forth, doesn't it?
No.
I could have sworn that it did.
Dominating.
I don't know. JDM would know, but he's not here anymore.
He didn't even say goodbye.
Yeah.
Or if he did.
He might have. We had like 8 people in here, and it was hard to get it worded edgewise. I don't know. Heck, sometimes it's hard to get a word in edgewise when there's 3 of us. Oh God! Oof!
Shut down.
Penetration. The middle platform moves when you're on the big version of the map. Okay. This is supposed to be all big versions, so like I set the maps to all big, but for some reason it's been doing the auto instead, so I need to go back into settings and make sure that the settings are done correctly. Yeah, I knew I wasn't crazy. Oh, come on! You couldn't grab the edge? You suck.
Player 4 wins.
Big Band's Dre wins! GG. Okay. Alright. So let me get into settings real quick. Okay, yeah, map set is not supposed to be on auto, it's supposed to be on fucking big. God. Pain in the ass. You gotta change yourself. I think it switched back to that when we were... I think it switched back to auto on us when we had when we switched to one of the other game modes that somebody was whining about. Anyway. Alright.
Orion.
Okay. Here we go. But yeah, I realized that I have another color palette to unlock for Orion, so I think I'm gonna, even though I got my level with Volkov, I think I want to go ahead and get another level with Orion. And I'm almost there, so. Nice powerful Sun Drive City. Yes! Okay, there we go.
Three, two, one, brawl!
Oh God! Ow! No!
You know why the Muppets are called the Muppets?
Not really.
It's a portmanteau of Muppet, or of marionette and puppet.
Marionette and puppet, yeah. Makes sense.
There's been yet another useless fact.
Yeah. Oh God! Oh God! No, not that! Oh! Oh God! I lose. I am really good at that. I'm good at losing at Brawlhalla. It's, a punching bag savant. That took some talent too. That was a nice play there. Oh God! Yeah.
Listen, I am not nice, I am not kind, and I am not wonderful.
It passed
I'm kind of trying to hang on, but I'm just starting to drop.
I understand. It's about 2 in the morning now.
Yeah, well the thing is I don't want to go to bed because I don't want to get up. I don't want to deal with everything going on.
Right.
I'm scared half to death that this whole moving situation is gonna basically stress my mom out to death, literally. As much as we fight, you know, I still love her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my mother's landlord decided that he's going to renovate the house, nearly double the rent. and she technically will have 30 days to move out if she wants to move out immediately. There may be the option for her to stay while they're renovating. If she asks really nice, they might let her stay until she can find another place. The house is old, and it's just a big mess. She's 66 in poor health, heart problems, diabetic, had a gastric bypass some 15 years ago that nearly killed her, and she's got every possible negative side effect from having had it done, except for death. In short, the ruined Y ruined her in many ways, and come this July, I will have been acting as her complete and total servant for 10 years. And,
Sorry to hear that, man.
yeah.
Oh, we're getting there.
One more and I'll be at 24.
Yeah, I think I'll be leveling up on this this next one too. Look at that XP bar. Alright. You heading out, Name, or?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I decided to close Brawlhalla.
Okay.
Played enough for today. So, no.
Big Lost Labyrinth. Oh no! If it's that big, how did anybody lose it? Just saying. Saying. Oh.
3,
Well, you can stick
2,
around and listen to me
1,
bitch a little bit more if you want. Not gonna kick you out.
Yeah, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not gonna leave VC. I just wait till the stream's over. But
Yeah. Ah! Oh, look out.
So yeah, I've been taking care of her groceries, taking her all her doctor's appointments, every possible thing that she could possibly want or need for 10 years. And when I moved out 5 years ago, it just increasingly felt that all I did was move my bedroom across town.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, you know, the whole time you were living with her, she was, you know, pestering you to move out, but she depends on you for so much. It's like, you know, she really wants to have her cake and eat it too. She wants to not have you underfoot all the time, but have you around any time that she needs you to do anything for her. You know.
Right, and it's rich considering, you know, all the crap she would tell me about, you know, she'd use the word responsibility as a bludgeon. And then, now that I'm learning the truth of actual responsibility and what things shouldn't be my responsibility, you know, it just becomes a whole new bag of worms. So it's like, I should not have to be responsible for her well-being at this stage in my life.
Right.
But
yeah,
there's literally no one else that can help her. I mean, she was getting away with paying way below market on rent for 15 years, especially in a college town. And she was living under a slumlord. She has an awful credit rating because she's not been paying rent to a creditable place. So finding any kind of half-decent lodgings for her within a 45-day time period is proving to be incredibly stressful. We were looking for important documentation of hers today, like her social security card. It has disappeared. And she has never lost it in all of her life. And so we did the phone call to ask, you know, how do we get a replacement? And we will have to mail off her driver's license temporarily in order to get them to send a replacement.
Wow.
Because you can't go in person to a proper facility thanks to the friggin' C virus.
Yeah.
So So it's like every single day with this whole situation, it's one step forward, get knocked a block back.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of bad things have been happening to people recently, and not because really the coronavirus. Like, sure, there's bad things happening because of it, but I've known a lot of people, including myself, who have been getting screwed over lately in the past few years, and it just sucks.
Because it's the best year ever.
I actually started getting screwed over around 2019.
PewDiePie recently pointed out on his channel that in a video that he did just before 2020, he jokingly said, "Let's make 2020 the worst year ever."
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. and then and so people were like, "Oh my gosh, he's a prophet," you know, like so I guess before this year started, he said, "Let's make this a great year," you know, like or you know, and so everybody's like, you know.
Oh, and top it all off, my mom's heart problems. She's been having symptoms consistent with needing another stent since late last summer, and she kept waffling between delaying it because she's scared of COVID, or delaying it because she knows that she's stressing me out.
Yeah, I guess on the bright side of things, I have a job interview tomorrow, so that's to make things happier and not make this a depressing stream. But
yeah.
Oh God!
The other thing is, if this whole situation kills her, I will take it out on the landlord. I'll tell him, "Congratulations, you killed my mother. I hope that extra $400 a month makes you feel better about it."
Yeah, I hate landlords, especially right now. They think they can do anything. Because I have plenty of friends online who are being screwed over by their landlords, and a lot of landlords. I'm not saying all landlords are like this, but the stereotype of, oh, the landlord's a dick. Well, there's a lot of them. A lot of like shitty landlords who are just taking
new color palette.
Yeah, taking advantage of the coronavirus to kick people out, and so
It would be one thing if she had not been paying her rent or something like that, or if she'd had serious, constant repairs. It was a bad toilet, bad plumbing, and the guy who put together the house, he freaking bragged that he didn't get proper licensing and put the house together to code because he just knew how to build houses. Well, so the guy buys the house from this dirtbag. And doesn't do a damn thing with it, and then the one time there's a problem that my mom has to call him, and the guy doesn't fix the toilet right, and then he just flips out and says, "Oh, I'm gonna hand you over to my my management company," and I wish he'd just said you're gonna have to move or something right then, back in late October, and we'd be in a better situation. We'd have found her a better place by now. It turns out the property management department, the manager of the place, it's his new fiance. So she gets to get her hands dirty and be he's all passive aggressive, using her for the aggressive parts.
Yeah, my previous landlords I had weren't really rude, but they were college students, if I can put it that way. They were like never there for any sort of repairs or room service or anything. And by room service, I mean not like, oh, room service like getting free food. I mean literally to fix the water or such.
Right.
And yeah, the last place I was living at, I noticed a lot of landlords are just really, really shitty.
Well, here's a little thing on that. in a college town, the reason that rent tends to be so high is because the landlord expects, to a certain extent, that it's going to be rented by irresponsible college kids that are going to live there for a year and trash the shit out of the place. So the cost of all the repairs that they're going to have to make is built in. But when you have a responsible tenant that owns it, or that rents it for decades at a time, and doesn't wreck the place and takes good care of it, then you don't necessarily need to increase their rent to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that there may be 1 month out of the year that you have to fix or replace something, and that's going to eat all your profit. But
it doesn't necessarily eat all of your profit. It depends on what kind of a situation that you're in. Like if you're mortgaging the property and you're still paying on it, then yeah, and if you're depending on the rent to help pay the mortgage, then that's one thing. But ultimately, you shouldn't necessarily be in that situation as a property manager. Like if you're managing multiple properties, especially, you should have only 1 or 2 properties at most that you're mortgaging at the time, and then the rest of them should be paid off and just earning you money that you can use to put towards stuff at your other properties.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be depending on the rent to pay the mortgage to where you can't do anything about repairs without severe financial hardship.
Right. But all in all, I'm grateful that I'm okay where I'm at, and I've got a good relationship going on with the people at the office. I mean, there's this one time where someone on our floor was writing complaint letters about every single person, and it turned out that person was crazy. And there's a message in my little message box complaining about my music being on super loud and all that. I'm like, hold the phone. I use headphones.
Yeah.
99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I have friends over, it's only for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I take them back home immediately. What is this person going on about? And obviously he said, just chill, Siege. You're fine. The situation's being handled.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that person no longer here.
Yeah.
Heck, I've had no less than 3 neighbors move in and move out and not realize they even had a freaking next door neighbor.
Right. So one of my coworkers has a neighbor who lost his job recently. I don't know if it was due to COVID or due to other reasons, but so he's been home a lot more lately, and he has been slowly descending into madness.
Oh my.
He recently told her landlord that he thinks that she and the other neighbor that lives on the other side of him have cameras in his walls, and he's going to tear the walls apart to prove it. And so he's literally she's literally hearing construction noises on the other side of the wall, because this idiot's looking for cameras,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And she says her landlord isn't trying to get rid of him or anything. It's seriously,
he needs help.
He needs help. It's unclear as to whether he's just going crazy, or it's a problem that's been a psychological problem that's been caused by losing his job, or if he started doing drugs and that's why he lost his job and is now behaving erratically. But it's pretty bad. Anyway. But yeah, so on that note, I think that's going to be it for this one. It's getting pretty late. I got the color palette I wanted. I got the Volkov level I wanted. But thank you all so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. And of course, we'll be back here with more Brawlhalla next week. Thanks, Themeless. I appreciate it. Yeah, we do this every Tuesday. I usually get on a little earlier than what I got on tonight, but I had some other things I was doing around the house today, so I ended up being a little late. But anyway, so yeah, we do this every Tuesday for Brawlhalla. Tomorrow I will be streaming Pokemon Sword, And we'll be doing more Max Adventures, so look forward to that. And of course, as always, I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye!
Good night, everybody.
Night.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me!